I don't know where I put my coffee. I put my coffee down. I put a Hennessy Black in it. You know, Hennessy Black.
Oh yeah. Oops, I don't need that.
Yeah, what'd you think of? Yeah, so I sent Hardy the video of my brother doing the Canadian. What'd you think of that?
Look, it says we're live. Hold on a second. You are live.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, we're live now here.
Well, I'm using this third-party software, so I'm just trying to figure this shit out, right?
Your brother sounds more Canadian than you.
Well, he lived here longer than I did, so
Your accent's very neutral.
yeah, I was gone too long, man. That's why. Let's see, what do we got here? Settings.
Yeah, you sound perfect, man.
So it's working.
Thank God.
I wonder.
Yep.
I wonder if we're actually live right now because I'm trying this third-party software that a lot of people use. Stream. It says we're live.
Hang on, let me check that shit.
Yeah. See if you can
Checking
check it.
it.
Like, see.
Hold on. Oh yeah, maybe we're live right now, eh?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Eh?
oh,
So I got in my
oh,
car.
come
Eh?
on. How do you don't sound? Give me a good Canadian accent. Come on, dude.
So I got in my car. Eh? And went down to the store. Eh? Car. I got
Got
in my
me and the
car.
Canuck
Eh?
boys, eh? Oh yeah, it does say we're live.
Says we're live. But there's nothing like you can't like again.
Oh, we're live, eh? Rico, eh? Rico Champagne, eh?
Our live. Eh? But
All right, we're live. Good, we're working. All right, let's start this over again. Maybe everyone will join back in. People get over it. Well, my apologies to all you people out there, but AM had a bad connection.
now I'm using this third-party software which I have no idea how to use. Um,
Ooh, fancy.
for watching.
Just you and the
Perfect.
Canuck boys. You and your Canuck boys, eh?
Yeah, eh? Yeah, so I got in my car, eh, and went down to the store, eh? Had a good time listening to some good tunes, eh? The fuck? Open a new tab. All right, I'm gonna just check and see if this. Okay, mute. Had a good time listening to some mute. All right.
We're good to go.
Nothing's lagging. Nothing's going to
Talk
shit.
about MGTOW. Talk about. All right, we'll talk about MGTOW there, Rico.
A
So
boot.
tonight, let's just get right into it because enough of the jibber jab and the flim flam. Let's get right into it. So first off, I just wanted to state what I stated earlier before we got interrupted by a bad connection. As you can see, there's a lot of infighting within the Trump administration. Trump has lost his mental capacity. The guy Bannon, who's an advisor, he's written a book after he got ousted in the Trump administration. Don't focus on that. Don't focus on what the mainstream media is doing. Even some channels on YouTube that we all love that we all enjoy are talking about it. Ignore it. Ignore it all. Focus on America's foreign policy right now. Take a look at Iran. Take a look at the Middle East. Take a look at the situation with North Korea, China, and Pakistan, and you'll know that it's continuing to march on. So everything that's going on domestically, it's all popcorns and circuses, right? Just because you've never been to North Korea doesn't mean North Korea doesn't exist. Just because you've never been to Iran or you've never met an Iranian doesn't mean Iran doesn't exist. These are real places. There's real people. There are real ethnic groups, and they're all under attack because of America's foreign policy. So I just wanted to get that out of the way.
All right. While you're talking about that, everybody that's listening, I'm on Jesus, what's it called again? OBS Studio. I've never used this before, so I just threw it on to see if this would work. Third-party software to do these live chats. I have no idea how this shit works. All right, but I'm hoping that at least I won't quit. I'll stop cutting out. Right. Now, back to what you were saying, Nick. Iran, part of the agenda, correct? Can you not hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Am I
Yeah,
good?
you're good.
Okay, good.
I hear you fine.
Well, I'm just
Yeah,
keep
you're all right.
I keep freaking out that I'm going to drop. Okay, Iran part.
You got PTSD from before. I
I
understand.
got PTS fucking D. So Iran is part of the agenda. I want to just kind of go back a bit here and just relay a quick story. When I first went to Southeast Asia, I was living with a French Canadian guy for about 3 months while I worked at this language school, and he sat me down and said, because this was back in 2002, 2003. I believe. Yeah, 2003, I think. And he sat me down and he said, look, what's going on right now in Iraq is eventually going to make its way to Iran. And he said it's going to go through all the Middle East countries and it's going to accumulate in Iran. And this was fucking 15 years ago he's saying this shit. And he was absolutely right. He was absolutely right.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and unfortunately, I forgot what the percentage is of Americans that own a passport. I think it's like only like 10% of Americans have a passport.
Very few.
Yeah, and then only like 4 or 5% of them use the passport.
Yeah.
And of those 4 or 5%, most of them just go to Mexico.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think what the out of the 320 million Americans, only I think 1.5 or 2 million live outside the U.S. So that's pretty small, and most of them are in South America, mind you. It's not like they're living in Italy and Russia and South Africa. Most of them are just people with dual citizens that live in like El Salvador, Guatemala, and those type of countries.
Right. Now, all right. Now that we've kind of done that, again, I'm still PTSD from what just happened. I couldn't figure this shit out for the life of me. But let's move in quickly into the MGTOW realm first, and we can come back to that other stuff later. Now, we were originally wanted to talk about pros and cons of MGTOW, and what Nick first asked me a couple streams ago was, how do I see it? How do I see MGTOW today? How has it progressed? How has it degressed? And let me just talk on that for a second. I've stopped being someone who contributes to the community as much as I used to. I don't do it as much anymore. I've sort of become a fly on the wall, as you said. And being a fly on the wall, I've got to be honest with you, I don't listen to a lot of MGTOW content anymore. I just don't do it.
Okay.
Now,
all right, but before you go any further, and I never actually asked you this before, but what channels do you like? What are some of you when you do listen to MGTOW stuff, or you listen to MGTOW like content? What do you enjoy? Who's out there that you like?
Okay, all the people I used to listen to, they don't produce content anymore. I used to listen to Stardust. I used to listen to Barbarossa. I used to listen to Spetsnaz. I used to listen to RBK. And all of those guys, like myself, have disappeared. They're just not there anymore.
What do you think? Are you friends with them? Do you have any idea why they dropped out?
I wouldn't say I'm friends, but I'm acquaintances with a lot of them. I mean, Stardust and Barbarossa, I had a couple chats with. I've submitted content to Barbarossa's website. They're not strangers, but they're not friends. Stardust does still do content, but he, as Rico just said in the chats, however, he's drifted away from really solid MGTOW stuff. He's getting more into what I'm kind of doing with you, actually. He's talking about philosophy, politics, etc. Okay? Barbarossa's got his own website, which is very MGTOW related, but his YouTube personality has disappeared. Razorblade Candy, or RBK, incredible stuff, but he never showed his face or used his real voice. It was always sort of read the script with the robot voice kind of thing.
Who's this? Who's this?
RBK. And if
I don't know who RBK.
He disappeared while I was still around. But if you want to hear good MGTOW shit, go find his channel. Somebody mirrored all his stuff. Just type in Razorblade Candy MGTOW, you'll find it. But he never, nobody knew who he was. His content was grade A, and then he disappeared. And some people, Razorblade Candy 2 equals RBK, and some people speculated. Some of the other guys that I used to talk to said, I think RBK was actually Barbarossa, or he was a different personality, but not showing, not saying who his face was or who he really was.
Okay.
So these are the people I used to listen to. Nowadays, I honestly can't. I know of there's a MGTOW 101 out there, which is pretty straightforward stuff. That's a little bit more palatable than Sandman, although Sandman's still around. There's Howard Dare. He's pretty good. But I don't listen to it very often anymore. Well, here, Jonathan Hardy saying MGTOW isn't a movement, it's a lifestyle choice. And I've always argued that. I've always argued that. It's
right, but Hardy, I don't classify Hardy as. Of course, I'm not disrespecting Hardy because that's my best friend. But I look at Hardy as not MGTOW. He's more of what do you call it? A bachelor? He used a term for himself the last time we spoke. Confirmed bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
See, I see Hardy as more confirmed bachelor, not so much MGTOW. And there's a little bit more of a je ne sais quoi when it comes to confirmed bachelorhood versus MGTOW. Like, out of respect to Hardy, I look at him a little bit more, not classy, but he's not this curmudgeon, pissed off, type of guy. He's more confirmed bachelorhood, where he's kind of accepted for things what they are. He's got a nice lifestyle for him, and he still, he still hooks up with chicks,
Yeah. Well, I think MGTOW men often hook up with chicks as well. But to be honest with you, man, I think the YouTube MGTOW community has taken a real hit, a real nosedive, because a lot of the most brilliant content providers left.
Okay.
Turd Filling Monkey's being brought up in the thing, and yes, Turd Filling Monkey is another guy that I know. I've had talks with, and you're right. He is more of a tradcon. He's MGTOW, but he's very political in his views. But this is the thing. This is one of the pros of MGTOW, and in my opinion. One of the pros of MGTOW is that because it's not an organized movement, you have voices in it that represent so many different ways of thinking and styles. Now, there are aspects of it that unite them under that banner you can call MGTOW. But other than that, I really enjoyed being a part of the community because it was so just diverse in the way people thought. What people were interested in. There was no leader. There was nobody telling you what kind of diet you need to have, or everybody was different. Everybody's different. But I think the number one thing, as far as MGTOW is concerned, in my opinion again, and maybe other people will agree with me, is that it is a very stark and detailed look at the number one, the historical and evolutionary aspects of relationships between men and women, okay, and also a very grim and close look at how politics today is manipulating those facts in order to create this friction and tension between men and women. So hey, back up fem haters on. Hey man, nice to see you, buddy. I don't know if I've seen you in the chat before. I don't always pay attention, but it's good to see you here. Cheers, Brad. But again, like I said, there's those two aspects. It's understanding the way that men and women relate biologically, evolutionary. It's also understanding the politics behind that and how it's being manipulated today. And the solution, which is not a solution, really. It's not a big picture solution, but I'll call it a solution. The solution for the individual man in MGTOW is to simply walk away.
Yep. Yes.
All right, man. Well, he says fem haters leaving soon, but it's really good to see you, man. Really. I always check in on your videos now and then too. He always puts up real short, kind of funny clips of stuff in the media that you'll see just blatantly gynocentric.
Well, you can hey, just tell fem hater you can just listen to this later on and hopefully drop a comment in and keep in touch that way.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so that's what I'm saying about what basically what MGTOW is at the core and how that's the pro of it. Now, the cons of it, I'll give you what I think are the cons, and then I want you to kind of come in because you had a more critical sense. You got to remember, you tell me that okay, you didn't really understand MGTOW when you approached it, and you were very critical of it, and I think that's fabulous because the deeper you get into any kind of philosophy or concept, the deeper you get into it, the more biased you become. Do you understand? It's just part of the human trait. So, me being in MGTOW, like, I've been in it for so long, and I've been deep in it for so long that I'll become biased towards it, and I'll lean towards it all the time. So it's good to kind of take a step outside and hear other people's opinions on what the cons, might be as far as this, I guess, call it a movement is concerned. Now, me personally, I've seen men tear each other apart in MGTOW.
Right.
I've seen them tear each other apart, and there's this really strange phenomenon that I've noticed within the MGTOW community and other men's rights communities is there's this real leaning to kind of just beat the shit out of each other. There's this sort of pissing contest that goes on. I've gone toe to toe with fucking Paul Elam, and now I'm kind of like polite and friendly with him, but in the past I kind of went, it wasn't that big of a deal, but I mean, I've seen it. I've gone through other MGTOWs criticizing, like for example, Sandman, who was a major player of when I started, became very popular very fast. Does real quick videos, 10 minutes, boom, here's the point, done. Very robotic voice. It's very advertiser friendly, right? And then people attacked him, saying that he didn't represent it. And then, of course, Enrico brings up Stardust, Barbar, and Sandman. All three of them got doxxed. So there were people within the community that tried to tear it apart from the inside out. All right? Mm-hmm. And they might have been...
Well, do you have any idea what the reasons were? What was their critique of what they had to say?
Well, okay, it depends, because there were people inside the MGTOW community calling themselves MGTOW men, having their own channels, but then tearing apart others for whatever reasons. They're not... it's hard to really understand specifically what the specifics were. Some people, and a lot of it just became a lot of slander and libel. That's really what it came down to. It was just slander and libel.
Well, my favorite channel in regards to not so much MGTOW. He actually didn't. He actually was a critique of MGTOW. Was a guy called Asia Pacific Ocean Liner. Asia Pacific.
I know who that guy is. Yeah.
Okay, he was to me, and Hardy didn't like him so much, but he was. I think he was the best at what he did. I miss him so much. I mean, he was just out of this. He crushed every topic out of the ballpark, whether it was Darwinism, Christianity, Western women, MGTOW, everything. He just nailed it on all points, doing these videos from his fucking pantry.
Yes.
And he did it through a lens of a bus driver, of a school bus driver, because that was his job. And he got decimated by people just trolling him. Oh. And I used to write comments to him. I go, you need to ignore these people. Your content is fucking awesome. And he had one video about Western women, expat Western women from living in Hong Kong. That had like 300,000 hits, and from that 300,000 hit video, he had about 20,000 subscribers. And he just gave into the trolls. He fed the trolls, and everyone told him, "Don't feed the trolls." And now there's only maybe like 3 or 4 of his videos left on the internet that people preserved of his work. In fact, I have a few of his videos left over. But his best content, he deleted everything. And it's really sad to see someone like that who inspired me to even be having these discussions with you, have his channel, terminated.
Well, and that's that. I mean, a lot of that is sort of part and parcel of this social media online and the communities in social media online. It's a pretty rough place. It's not for the weak of heart. But
you have to understand, the concept of a troll. That's only an American, a United States, North American type of thing.
Are you talking about an internet troll or like
internet trolls are only internet trolls are only from the United States. There's no trolls from like fucking Germany trolling people.
Of course there is, man. There's trolls everywhere.
Do you think so? I think it's
Absolutely.
mostly a United States concept.
Maybe, but you can't discount any other place. I mean, all it takes to be a troll is have an internet connection and a desire to kind of undercut somebody. You know,
Europeans engaging in this type of infantile baby bullshit. I regard Europeans and Canadians, for that matter, a little bit more mature, not to engage in something so stupid. But Americans are unfortunately very immature, and they like to tittle tattle and act like little high school kids.
well, drifting back into the MGTOW community and what happened, and like I said, talking about these people that got doxxed and sort of this infighting. I know that one of the big names was from England, and the other one was Canadian. And these were two guys calling themselves MGTOW, but they were creating a lot of problems, and there was a lot of slander and a lot of libel going on. I'm not going to say the names because I don't give a fuck anymore, and I don't play that game. But the point is, yeah, there were trolls coming straight out of London, England, and coming out of Ontario, so Canada.
Okay.
So I mean, they're everywhere, man. Hey, cabin boys in. Hey, keep your wrench handy, man. Anyway, he's the only guy that we have in our chats that has a wrench, so he can actually kick people out if they act up.
Cool.
So anyway, yeah, that's the cons again. Like I said, were there's, and I don't think this isn't something that is unique to MGTOW. I think it's unique to any kind of online community such as this. There was a lot of infighting. And I think the uniqueness of the situation in MGTOW is that it is men. It's men. And men are not women. Men are more aggressive with each other, the way they communicate, the way they work problems out, solve problems, create problems. They're different. It's a little more aggressive. It's testosterone. All right?
Right.
So I think that was a real hurdle, and it still is a hurdle for communities like the MRAs and MGTOW. It's just the very nature of men themselves. And there was also, I think I was one of the advocates early on, back in the day, that said keep women out of your goddamn MGTOW communities.
Well, that has been accomplished, mission accomplished.
Oh yeah, fucking, I'm so happy about that, because it wasn't always like that. There was a lot of people that were trying to bring women in, trying to get women's opinion. As soon as men have a club, every woman wants to be a part of it. It pisses me off. And
well, there's that one woman that is kind of like she chimes in on MGTOW channel. She has like a kind of like a lesbian haircut. She actually is fairly attractive, and she's written a couple books. I forgot her name, slips my mind, but she's been on Molyneux.
Karen
she's been
Strong?
on Crowder.
Karen Strong?
Yes,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go.
Well, she's a big voice in the men's rights movement, and she was interviewed on the documentary Red Pill. Cassie J, Cassie J? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. That did the Red Pill documentary that kind of shook the world.
Mm-hmm.
But Karen Strawn, she's very, very intelligent, and she knows she talks no bullshit about men's issues, women's issues, the corruption of feminism.
But then she slips. Being a woman once in a while, she said things that I'm like, you know what? That's being a woman right there.
Because she's a woman. I mean, she can't help it.
So she said recently, I thought it was funny that men only share emotions with other men. They're afraid of displaying emotions in front of their women because men have to be macho, they have to be masculine, they're not supposed to show weakness. She's right, but the reality is, as soon as a man displays emotion to a woman, the woman just completely shuts down and views the man as weak.
Right.
So, like, what do if I have a girlfriend and I start, like, just say, like, hypothetically, I start crying, she's not going to respect me anymore. She saw me at my weakest point. She's going to hate me now. She's going to resent me. Every woman that I've been with where I displayed some type of weakness, it's always backfired on me. So her saying that men are being emotional around only other men, yeah, because women tend to not like men that show weakness.
Absolutely. But I think she understands that. I mean, as far as, I don't know if absolutely she does, but just based on what I've heard her talk about, I'm pretty sure she understands that.
Yeah, her haircut doesn't help out the matters neither.
No. But the thing is about a woman like her is that she understands the concept of MGTOW, and she doesn't try to include herself in it. Okay, she doesn't try. She doesn't try to include herself in it. She never has. And in fact, she's many times said, "Don't get involved. Women, stay out of MGTOW. It's not your place. It's not your business. Stay the fuck out."
But you also have to understand, and this is where I'm critical of this MGTOW, air quote MGTOW,
Mm-hmm.
is that the MGTOW movement is choosing this passive aggressiveness towards women, when in reality, women could give a fuck what MGTOW really is.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a passive aggressive stance for the most part. I don't think every aspect of it is, but for the most part, yes, I agree with you. It is very passive aggressive. It's like, I mean, walking away. How much more passive aggressive can you get?
Right. Yes.
You can, I mean, that's anytime anytime you disagree with somebody, you walk away. You can't get more passive aggressive than that.
Right.
So I agree with you. However, a lot of MGTOW men, well, the entire concept of MGTOW is it's very layered, and that's why back in the day we used to have charts and concepts of like how deep of a MGTOW you were. They used to kind of give it numbers.
How red pilled are you?
Yeah, absolutely. How red
Right,
pilled
and
are you?
then and then it becomes,
where did you fall
on.
where did you fall on a spectrum? Okay, which is fine. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous, but whatever. They're just a lot of MGTOW are trying to figure out what the hell this was all about. Where did they fit? I mean, if a guy realizes like, holy shit, man, if a ship goes down, I'm the one that dies, and that's how society sees me. Holy shit, man! 98% of
Right.
98% of suicide, or 98% of
Yeah,
homeless people are men.
Again, sorry.
No, go ahead.
When I wrote some of the things about MGTOW, and I got into arguments with MGTOW expat over this, that he complained that I'm blue pilled and stuff. Well, you got to understand that this whole MGTOW becomes fractured into subgroups.
Yes.
And I think that becomes part of the big problem where one group is debating on what's an alpha male. Oh, an alpha male is a guy who just bangs a bunch of broads. Well, I don't call that an alpha male at all. An alpha male to me is a person who has his shit together, who's got a war chest. A guy who's a military a war veteran, a guy who's an expert in a certain field that knows a lot about certain things. To me, that's an alpha male. You defining an alpha male on how many chicks you fucking slammed, that does not in any way to me classify as as an alpha male.
Yeah, but you gotta like terms like alpha male. They're not; those things weren't born of MGTOW. They existed long before.
But again, the infighting on the definition to me is just it's nonsense.
Well, I don't think personally I didn't hear a lot of infighting about the definition of alpha male in MGTOW. In fact, I think one of the things that MGTOW men kind of really despised was PUAs, pickup artists. It was really big because the pickup artists hated MGTOW. They hated us, and this is the thing I loved about the community the most is that MGTOW men, by their definition, did the most passive-aggressive act and walked away from everyone's bullshit. And when they did, they got attacked. So every conflict that came about that I was aware of within that MGTOW community was not MGTOW being the aggressor. It was MGTOW walking away with their backs turned, going, "Okay, guys, good luck with your, all your shit, but I'm going to go over here and play this game now." And then as soon as they did, people started jumping on them. The PUAs jumped on them. The MRAs jumped on them. The feminists jumped on them. And the greatest part about it was nothing stuck. Nothing stuck to them. They didn't become public enemy number one to the feminist movement. They just flew so far under the radar. Nothing stuck to them, and it was beautiful. I watched it happen. I watched the feminists just plow into the MRAs, and then I watched the MRAs plow into us as we walked away, just stab us in the back like fucking MGTOW.
Right, that because you're being passive aggressive, so
Yes.
they're gonna attack MGTOW.
Yes.
Yes, I get it.
But nothing stuck. Like it just they stabbed and stabbed and stabbed, and we just kept walking. And
Right.
and then they eventually just gave up.
Yeah, a lot of them. Aaron Clary's another one who. Yeah, they, but I agree. I agree to a certain point with Aaron Clary's and Pacific Ocean Asia Liners stance on MGTOW, where you keep walking away. Like, and I understand where their complaints are as far as the constant walking away from everything.
Well, if men walk away, it's a death. It's a death knell to everybody. Because to be honest, man, it is, and the MRAs know this, the feminists know this, the PUAs know this. They know that society was built and is still supported on the shoulders of men.
Right.
And if a large portion of men say, you know what, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home, and you guys can fuck yourself, you can burn to the ground. Everybody panic. Everybody jumps into a panic. They don't want that to happen. And honestly, I don't think it'll ever happen because not enough men will actually ever do that.
Well, I think more and more are. Again, I stated this in the last live stream that I do think you're going to see more divorces, much more than you'll ever have, more than now.
Yeah.
And I think more and more are going to be asking, like, what the hell just happened? My favorite comedian, Dave Attell, said something really funny. He goes, why are hurricanes named after women? And he asked a guy who just got hit by a hurricane, hey, why do you think hurricanes are named after women? He goes, well, what else leaves your house in pieces, your shit thrown all over your fucking front yard, and leaving you naked, asking you what the fuck just happened? That's a hurricane, and that's a woman, you know?
Yeah.
So you're gonna see more and more guys asking who are not aware of the situation, what's happening around as society crumbles. They're gonna be asking, well, what the hell really just fucking happened? And then they're gonna start venturing into MGTOW content, and then they're gonna get lost in the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's there. And I mean, okay, FemHater just said, in fact, there have been some PUA on Facebook who turned around and apologized. And then I saw this. I mean, the MRAs, the PUAs, they all came crawling back to MGTOW and going, geez, like, sorry we were assholes to you. And we were just, and then the rest of the MGTOW community, we were just still in the process of walking away. Like, we never skipped a beat. And these fuckers attacked and attacked and attacked. And some of us fucking jumped in and fought back to a certain degree. But it didn't change. We didn't go away. In fact, our numbers kept increasing. And increasing and increasing and increasing. And meanwhile, the PUAs and the MGTOWs had, for example, Roosh V, the face of PUA. He had feminists threaten. They were going to kill him. They came to his home and like threatened him with violence and death. Right? And this is what the MRAs were going through. None of us did. we just kept walking, man.
Right.
And I think what you're saying about the hurricanes, this is one of the aspects I really like about the knowledge that you gain from the discipline of MGTOW, because MGTOW is a discipline. It's a very, very strict, strong discipline. And I understand aspects of discipline from becoming a Muslim, and I mean, if you're a person that exercises every day, the concepts of discipline, they're there. And MGTOW is a very deep and strong discipline. And one of the things I enjoy about it is that I watch other people that get affected by the discipline of MGTOW, and they're no longer afraid to criticize women, because there's a real sort of deep-seated part of men where it's like, you can't criticize a woman. You can't. You're not allowed to. And if you do, you kind of watch what you're saying, and you say it in hushed words and in whispers.
Yeah, I throw for me at this point in my life, just throw that right out the fucking window. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just gonna, and unfortunately, my mother, my aunts, my cousins say you can't. You're too abrasive.
Yes, of course they will.
You know, you're too honest. I've heard that my entire fucking life from other women saying you're too brutally honest.
Yeah.
Another one was a woman I used to work with. An older woman who I used to work with in a supermarket, and there were all these women that I worked with, and they all found me very attractive. Thank you, thank you.
Hmm.
But I asked her because she was crazy about me, and I told her like, look, I can't get a fucking date, and she goes, Nick, you're a soul crusher, and when she meant by what she meant by that was is that my words cut through women. Cut. I just dice them and cut them up.
Yeah, yeah.
I can say the things I would be able to say in like 4 to 5 words in one sentence would just leave women in shambles. And she said, "You're a soul crusher. The things you say to women are just horrible. I'm like, what the hell do I say that's so fucked up? You came after me first.
Yep.
You came after me first. You wanna grind an axe? Don't come looking to grind an axe with me because I'll be sure to let the filings hit you in the face.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
I can't hit you. I can't hit you as a man, but I can say the words that will crush you and leave you cold and shattered and leave you knowing my words for forever and ever. And this reminds me of something else when I lived in Cambodia. I used to go to the girly bars where all these women, and because I lived there for so long, they knew who I was. They knew who I was, and they knew about me. They knew me by my first name, so on and so forth. And I took one girl home, and she'd been eyeballing me for like 2 years, and I finally just took her home, right? And we were talking and stuff. She goes to me, she goes, Nick, half the girls that work at the bar on the street are crazy about you, and the other half of the girls want to kill you, literally kill you. Why? Why do the women want to hurt you so bad, and why do you make the women hate you so much? And I responded to her, and I said to her, because you'll remember me. You'll remember me. Because if I say you're beautiful, it's gonna go right off your shoulder. But if I call you old, or I used to say you have old eggs, no one wants to buy your old eggs. I would say that in Cambodian to them. You're gonna remember that I said that. Because all these other guys are saying how beautiful, let me buy them drinks. Oh, let me take you out, let me spend money on you. And here I come along and say, yeah, fuck you, you old crusty eggs, you old bitch. I would say that in Khmer to them.
Hello? Hey, buddy, I lost you.
Right?
Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah, you're back. I couldn't hear you for a second. Jesus.
Oh,
PTSD. Hello?
So again, these young women would get mad at me on what I had to say, but because I'm so negative, you mix with you more versus something positive.
Say it again.
I'm stating that the negative words I would say tend to stick more than the positive words, and that's
Right.
something that I learned my entire life when it comes to women.
Well, and it's fun. When you mentioned, oh, I can't hit you. I can't attack you physically. And this is kind of where our sort of gynocentric, feminized culture in the West has gone, to the point where men are terrified to even physically touch women. They're absolutely terrified. There's an evolutionary concept behind it, is that men are physically have like 4 times the upper body strength. Like a woman just can't, she just can't compete with a man when it comes to upper body strength. It's impossible. I mean, it's just biology. It's a fact.
So what weapons do you have? The weapons you have are words.
Yeah.
So, and again, I don't know if anyone heard what I said, was that the young girl would ask me, half the girls that work at the bar love you, the other half absolutely you, like making the girls so mad. The reason why is because when I say something to you you're going to remember it because every other guy is fucking licking. I come along and say, no, I'm not going to lick your clit. You're fucking nothing to me.
Mm. Well, yeah, and but this is the thing is like I was going to add is not only do men now, I mean, men know, everyone knows they're much more powerful. So to strike a woman for no reason is completely looked down upon. To strike even today, to strike a woman in self-defense, she could be coming at you with a goddamn knife, and to strike her in self-defense, it's still seen. You're still frowned upon. And we've gotten so bad in the West that now you can't even talk bad about women. The only weapon you have left is your voice. That's all you have left.
Right.
And now they
So
want
exercise it.
yes, you men have to. And I think and what I've seen is men that have taken the red pill down, maybe they haven't completely swallowed it. Who knows where they're at on it, but I love to see their courage. I love to see them have a little bit more courage when it comes to being critical about women and their behavior. I really like that.
Well, I'll give you a good story. I'm at the point, especially with Western women, where if you slight me, you act like a child, you act like a little princess. I'm just gonna go all out war on you. So I'm at the gas station up the block from my home, and there's a car that's blocking two pumps. It's blocking two pumps, and there's 3 or 4 cars trying to use the pump, blocking 2 pumps. And the car's just sitting there not using either pump. And here comes a white girl. And I flip the fuck out at her. I go, move your fucking car. And her response to me was, my grandfather just died, okay? And I go, is that what your grandfather taught you, to be a selfish fucking cunt? Move your fucking car. I don't give a fuck about your grandfather. Move it the fuck now. And I just start screaming at her. Sure enough, what'd she do? She moved the car. And I stared her down the entire time. I did not break eye contact. I wanted to let her know, you're not important. The world's not revolving around you. There's other people that need to go to work, and you need to use that gas pump. But her defense was having a bad day. Therefore, everyone else should have a bad day.
Yeah.
Very typical, very narcissistic
Yes.
of the Western female.
No, that's a very typical story of a Western female. They are the center of the world, and the whole point. And this is another part of the discipline of MGTOW, is that, well, in your practice of your discipline of MGTOW, you come to certain realizations. It's a form of meditation. You come to some realizations, and some of the realizations you come to is that the world that you live in, one of the realizations you come to is that the world you live in, the world that you play a part of, that you produce for, okay, that you are a player in the role, you have a role to play in the society you live in as a man, and you realize that pretty much the stage that has been set for women to get away with anything they want. I mean,
Yes.
it translates through culture, it translates through religion, it translates through law. It translates through just about every aspect of our society in the West. And women basically have free reign to get away with whatever the fuck they want. In other words, society has said women are children, and they have no ability to make decisions for themselves. So therefore,
But they can be superheroes in movies.
of course, absolutely. This is the hypocrisy of feminism, and maybe make a bookmark for that, because we'll maybe talk about that later. But the road to communism, the road to socialism, is paved with hypocrisy. Absolutely.
Yes.
But
You're venturing into that topic. Is that now you're using women as a buffer for the state now?
yeah,
Right. So we're saying, like, let's just say hypothetically that white males are saying no more brown skinned people in North America. Well, here comes white girl. Well, why not? Don't you care about them?
Yeah.
But they're starving. And this was glorious, glory of Obama in his brilliant move to bring children from Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala by the busloads, thousands by the busloads into America. And they used white women as the buffer. Don't you care about the
Absolutely.
children?
Absolutely.
But they're just children. Remember Joe Biden? They're children. We need to protect the children. AM. Don't you care? No. First of all, it's all they're not children. They're 17, 8-year-old fucking Hispanic males from the most violent countries God has ever seen. You can't bring them in here. God only knows what trauma they've been through just getting through Mexico, and you want to bring them into North America. But they used women who are children themselves as the buffer. You're not going to say no to the white woman.
No.
Right? You're not going to tell her that it's not smart to bring them in. They're children.
Women in general, you're not going to say no to. I mean, that's
right.
But I mean, and if you did you ever hear about a lot of the scandals happening in a lot of the Western European countries with this flood of the immigrants, and they set up sort of what do you call them, tent cities? They had this, they had to set up a lot of tent cities for the migrants that they were bringing in, and what was an incredible phenomenon that happened, and anybody that's listening can correct me if I'm wrong or go online and find this, but I've seen it and I read it. Was this incredible phenomenon of Western European women volunteering in these tent shelters and basically just
I saw that. Saw that.
Basically just whoring themselves out to these refugee men that were coming in, because they were mostly men. They were bringing in men. Not women.
It's all men.
It's all men.
So,
they were pimping or whoring themselves out to get gangbanged as
they're asking for it.
Yes,
they're asking for it.
That's exactly what they wanted.
Well, it's not so much getting gangbanged as they want something to happen to them to garnish more attention. That's really what it comes down to. It's no better than Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and all the other fucking, Pinterest or whatever the fucking stupid website is. It's no different. They wanted something to happen to make a name for themselves. I'm the girl who got gangbanged in Tent City in France. That's really, that's really what it comes down to. It comes back to attention. Right, let me put right, exactly. That's what it's about. It's attention. And white girl gets the most attention in the entire world. Well, Cosmopolitan magazine, it's going to be a white woman. It's never a black or Hispanic woman now, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the thing is this is a part of the discipline that I find of MGTOW and the Red Pill, is that you understand these sort of the nature of, because men and women as human creatures are not the same. They're very different. They behave in different ways. It's evolutionary. It's biological. It's sociological. They're very different creatures. And part of the discipline of MGTOW and the Red Pill is understanding that difference and exploring it, researching it, looking into it, being critical of it. Mm-hmm. And it's much, the way women behave today is much different than the way they behaved 100 years ago in a different country in a different time, obviously. But part of the discipline is, can you quiet your mind long enough to be critical of what's happening around you right now with women? I mean, it's very important. I was talking here's another personal story. I was over the holidays. I was at a Christmas dinner with my mother and one of my brothers, and it was kind of a family dinner, and we're talking, and the topic came up because we were eating a Christmas ham, right? And because I'm a Muslim, obviously, and my kid's a Muslim, so the topic came up of how religion. I'm a Muslim now. We're not supposed to eat ham, but I still do, kind of thing. And it kind of drifted into Middle East and Muslims and politics and shit. The conversation. These are holiday dinners, right? So I remember kind of just talking about giving my family kind of an explanation of why pork is considered haram, where it comes from, my opinion on it, etc. And then it drifted into other things, and it went into stoning, right? and male-female politics within Islam. And I said, yeah, adultery especially in Saudi Arabia, adultery can be punished by stoning. Like you can.
Hey, listen, I just saw a video of a guy getting stoned in Afghanistan by the whole town.
Yes.
They all stood with rocks and threw him. Did you see the video?
I did not see that video, but the point is I was trying to say, hey, in these extreme Muslim countries, if you commit adultery, there's other crimes too that involve stoning as a punishment. But if you commit adultery, in other words, if you're married and you fuck someone else, they'll fucking bury you to your fucking shoulders, and everybody stands around and throws
stoning your head.
Stoning your head, and that's a fucking horrible.
And it's equal. It's equal for the both of them. It's the same punishment for a man and for a woman. So there's no. It's not biased.
No, it's not.
It's not patriarchy. Okay, no. It's guy gets stoned and the woman gets stoned.
Absolutely.
Whoever messed up, one of them's going down.
Okay, so the point is, what I'm trying to make is I brought that up, and instinctually and habitually, my mother goes, "Yeah, but they only stone women," and I was like, "What?
No."
Like she threw that up out of her mouth, like not even like she didn't even think. It was an instinct. It was just like an instinctual reaction. No, but they only stone women, and I went, "What? Are you insane?" I said this punishment is for both men and women. What made you possibly think, for even a second?
Well, when it comes to older women, you have to walk them through the steps usually, and why that's not true. And I find older women to be a little bit more grounded in some ways at least with logical thinking, a little bit better.
Possibly.
Example, it's possibly. I'll use my mother as an example. I started complaining about again. It was about the children coming in by the busload into the United States, and she said something like, "That's just racist." And I go, "Mom, you're a Hispanic teacher. There's too many of them." And then she goes, "You know what? You're right. There are too many of them." I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
So you have to kind of walk her through it to realize you're wrong.
Yeah.
I
agree.
There's only certain levels. Women can only hit certain levels. They only hit a certain level before and then the conversation's dead then.
Right. Well, and I know, and for me with her, I was like, look, first of all, why would you even think that only one person would get committed would suffer the same punishment? And it's interesting because I think, is it because of what you've been taught about Islam as a culture or a religion, or the Middle East just as a part of the world? Has it always been driven into your head through the media that it's this horrible patriarchy that just covers their women and doesn't let them drive? I'm wondering, where does it come from? Or is it simply from this gynocentric attitude you've always had, where it's like, men bad, women good kind of thing? It's hard to say.
Hey, listen, everyone out there, this is a pro-Sharia channel. Don't you forget it, okay?
Yeah, this is a pro-Sharia channel. We support Sharia law.
This is pro-Sharia.
Yeah, we support Sharia law.
No, the problem is that the Christians have veered. So of course, that you got to understand that. And I try explaining this to many Christians. I go, in reality, you're not supposed to be that far off from Islam. You fucking idiot.
Yeah, well, they're the same.
Right, and now dude, I wanted to vomit. I saw a lecture today where they put a cross next to the LGBT flag, and I'm like, dude. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit, man? But the cool thing about Islam is that it snuffs the problem out before it even leaves the starting gate.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, Larry David took a piss on a picture of Jesus Christ on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And everyone loves Larry David. Even I love Larry David for Christ's sakes, I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. But here he is taking a piss on Jesus Christ.
He's a Jew.
On his TV show.
Why wouldn't he?
Now, right. But here's the thing is that You can't do that with Islam. You can't
No.
even you can't even show Muhammad. You can't even show
Well,
Muhammad. So
that's not
before you
entirely
even
true.
think about insulting him, before you even think about insulting,
Yeah.
just know if you try insulting him, someone out there is going to come and kill you. Now, but here's a guy, here's a Jew, pissing on your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ,
And nobody does
and
anything.
you do nothing. Instead, what do? You give him another series
Yeah.
for his TV
Another
show,
season. Okay,
another
one more
season,
season.
right?
One more season for you to
Right.
shit on the
Or
Christians.
Sarah Silverman.
Oh
And
God.
I used to love Sarah Silverman back in the day, you know, and here she is. It's all, you know, she's talking about killing Jesus Christ the second time again. And naturally she said that for attention, right? We get it. You're a woman, you want more attention because you're really not that funny.
No, she's
You
not
know,
funny at all.
she's not funny at all, you
All she
know.
can do is make jokes about her cunt and then hope people laugh. That's basically it. Or
Well, it was Jimmy Kimmel that gave her a career, and Adam Carolla gave Jimmy Kimmel his career. And who's Adam Carolla? A diehard Republican, you know. So you
yeah.
know he comes full circle in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I know, and you know, going back, kind of drifting into the sort of religious thing here. Um, when it comes down to what I was saying, just my mother just blurting out, only women suffer that, and maybe it's because of Muslims. Um, and eventually I had to show her. I said, no, actually, the law is for both men and women, and it's for adultery. But adultery is very, very hard to prove. It's very, very hard to prove. And you need witnesses and so on and so forth. And the way that the Islamic law works is that because it's such a hard crime to prove, when it comes to women, they give them the benefit of the doubt. But not with men.
Well, that's kind of again, that's a little bit understandable because guys just want to fuck everything.
Well, that's the mentality. That's the understanding of it. But
right, so right off the starting gate, you're gonna be questioning the guy. It's the same thing if you catch a black guy fucking robbing a convenience store. Who are you gonna be looking at, the black guy or the fucking the white grandma?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's a little bit. But then, if once you start asking questions, realize the situation, you come to realize that maybe, hey, look, maybe the grandma's really the fucking shoplifter.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, this is what I was talking about. This is the discipline. The discipline, and again, why? Hey, I'm going to go back to the pro of MGTOW. The pro of MGTOW is it's a discipline. It's a discipline of the mind. It's a discipline of the body and the spirit. It's an understanding. It's an understanding of certain observable, repeatable, and verifiable facts that are around you, and then reacting to it. How do you react to it? What's the best way to react to that? And
by walking away.
Yeah, and the best way is just like, you know what? I can do this. It's going to cause the least amount of harm to the least amount of people. And in the end, you're basically just trying to find the best seat to watch it all fucking burn.
Mm-hmm. Right, get the marshmallows. So you get the marshmallows.
Yeah, man.
Get your Nabisco graham crackers. Right. Find yourself a nice stick for you to stick the marshmallow on, and then stick it in there.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. You watch it get torn down. Anyway, would you want to go into your 13th grade?
Well, I wrote something about 13th grade, and this applies to both men and women, is a concept that, first of all, where I came up with the term 13th grade was one of my mentors stated about millennials that just don't want to grow up, that they're kind of stuck in high school, but you're not in high school. It's called 13th grade. And 13th grade is, and I don't know if people in MGTOW are classified as 13th graders, and that's where I wanted to discuss this. Are men in MGTOW immature in the sense that they don't want to pick themselves up by the bootstraps, get a job, suck eggs, do what you got to do, so on and so forth. That's kind of what 13th grade is about, and 13th grade also applies to kind of like people that play too many video games, uh, young adults that again play too, young adult males that don't that play too many video games, and let's say that act like wiggers, that flat brim hat, pretend like they have a lot of money when they don't, spending money that they don't have, going out every night, going out to expensive bars, racking up credit card bills, chasing women that will never sleep with them. And it becomes a bit of a redundant cycle, where even when they live in their parents' house, they don't tend to help out or contribute to the house. They're kind of just there as kind of like a parasite on baby boomer parents.
That sounds a lot like I don't, that sounds just like you're describing millennials.
Right. So the term 13th grade can be applied to a overriding majority of millennials. Again, this group of young adults who don't want to move on with their lives. So do you find that there's a lot of that in the MGTOW community? Is 13th grade really?
Is it applicable
I'm gonna
to
say
the MGTOW?
is it applicable to MGTOW? Also, can you blame people that are in this type of state of affairs? So I wanted you to weigh in on that.
Okay. I think it could be applicable to some people in the MGTOW community, and like I said before, is the MGTOW community is very vast. MGTOW Vention is a middle-aged man over in his 50s who's never been married, owns his own house, business.
Yeah, obviously that's not a 13th grader, but a guy who's 26, who dropped out of, keeps crashing cars.
I honestly,
partying.
To be honest with you, man, I don't know anybody personally that I've spoken to or had any kind of relationship with in MGTOW that fits that. I don't know anybody. I just don't. Pretty much every MGTOW man I've had the privilege of getting to know and meet, not in person, but just through the means of social media, they've never fit that paradigm of like living at home and lazy and blah. I've never met, but I'm not saying there isn't them. There probably is, but I've never met them. I don't know them. I don't know them in MGTOW. I just find that when you really take on the discipline of MGTOW and the red pill, it's you got to grow up real fast. It makes you grow up. I don't know, man. The people you're describing to me sound a hell of a lot more blue pilled than they do red pilled.
Well, they are. They are very ignorant. They're very ignorant to the world. Now, unfortunately, I know countless amount of people that fit this definition of the 13th grade. They just don't. They don't want to grow up. And they are also somewhat paralyzed by the society that's around them. So, for example, let's just say that someone, let's say that they're waiters, waitresses, people that work in Walmart, and they kind of just are stuck in that same routine. Or people that don't, when you tend to not have a job, and you go long periods without having a job, it becomes very difficult for you to get back on the wagon trying to find a job, right? So that would be more of what I would define as a 13th grader. The other problem that I see is that, do you blame 13th graders for being in the state that they're in North America?
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of them got the shit end of the stick handed to them, so it's really hard to blame them. But again, what I would prescribe to any of them is I'd say, here's a fucking red pill, swallow it, and get on with your day. Because
but how are you supposed to go on with your day when you're kind of already stuck? That's again going back on the hamster wheel with no ending, without the hamster wheel coming to an end, without you ever owning the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
or owning the cage that you're stuck in. So this is what the problem is. This is my argument with people who don't like 13th graders. Okay, what would you like for them to do? Right? Okay, and then the baby boomers, there's a lot of, bullshit that comes out of baby boomers' mouth. They say, "Oh, the illegal immigrants are taking the jobs that you don't want." Well, they would take those jobs if you didn't bring in illegal immigrants in the first place.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Because what they're saying is, you don't want to work as a car mechanic. The illegal will take that job because he's a hustler.
I hate
Well,
that fucking argument, man.
dude,
I
I
fucking
can't,
hate
dude.
it.
I'm sick of that fucking argument. Okay, so actually, if you got rid of the illegal immigrant, you'd be forced to pay the native worker a decent wage.
Yes.
Now, mind you, with that being said, with the immigrants, is the immigrants are actually still gaming the system because you have to ask yourself, how is he supposed to make do with $5 off the books, living in New York or some mega region that's very
Yeah.
expensive, L.A.,
Yeah.
Tampa, Florida, again any type of major city. How are they actually surviving? Well, guess what? They're still taking welfare, and
Yeah.
furthermore, is that they're not getting married. You know what they're doing is they're faking the marriage. This way, they knock up their quote unquote spouses,
Hmm.
and the spouse, the illegal immigrant, can now get welfare
Yes.
because she's a single mom,
Yep.
even though there's still a guy in the picture.
Oh yeah. The current welfare system is so exploitable. I mean, it's designed to be exploited.
Right? Yes.
And
It's
these,
it's fraught with corruption.
yeah,
Correct.
and all of them are taking advantage of it. I mean, um, I see people every day in downtown that are taking advantage of it, and I'm like, how can you spend so much money all the time on nothing? Like, you don't work. You're from Sudan. All
Oh
you,
God.
yeah, you're from fucking Sudan. You know, you're here in this country. You don't fucking work. You don't have a job, but you got money to buy booze every day. Like, how the fuck do you do that?
Before, I don't want to get too back. Is that again with the 13th grader?
Hmm.
Is that he's somewhat paralyzed?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And then they have, for them to function and take on responsibility, it becomes somewhat of a paralysis. They have really bad anxiety attacks when they have to face with just mundane tasks. I mean, it's so bad that some of these 13th graders can't even lift the fucking seat when pissing into a fucking bowl.
Hmm.
And then they become parasites living off whatever wealth the baby boomers have accumulated.
Yeah.
So I wonder what direction this whole. I mean, there are a parasitic class along with many other parasites in North America. Again, they're native born. They're usually white. Selling dime bags of weed, acting like he's a big shot when he's really got nothing.
Yeah.
His friends again, it becomes, misery loves company. They tend to congregate amongst each other, acting like they're doing something when they're really not.
Yeah. It is rough. And
I mean, I don't expect you to know too much about this because again, you're in Canada and you're much older than me. But I see this with people now getting older, maybe under the age of 35 in America, and you see them. They wear sweatpants when they go out, right? They're driving their parents' car,
mhm.
and it's all talk, it's all show with no substance, all dressed up and nowhere to go. That is the definition of a millennial and a 13th grader.
Well, you know what's funny is I've seen that phenomenon when I was in Indonesia too. And I think that's kind of fascinating. This is not something that's restricted to, I don't think it's restricted to the Western world or the first world. I think that, you know what I think creates that, or maybe a part of what creates that is a manufactured a manufactured middle class of debt or credit.
Okay.
And I think maybe that plays a part because I've seen that in in Indonesia when I was there. I mean, I was a teacher, so I taught a lot of kids whose their parents weren't hard done by, but a lot of them were part of this what you might call the nouveau. They called it the nouveau rich back in 1998. When they introduced the concept of credit into the country, and so a lot of these kids are the same. But at the same time, the culture of those people, it's not unusual. And even before that, it was very common for people to stay living with their parents until they were married. So it's very common to see families with 25. Well, and everybody got married a lot younger, mind you, but it was not uncommon to see.
All right, but are they married?
If once they're married, then they're gone. But if they're not, they'll stay with their parents until they're 35 years old.
Married.
What? Sorry, say it again.
Married.
Sorry, you cut out there. Sorry.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Are they married? Are they married?
Okay, the children stay with the parents until they're married. Once they're married, they're gone. Did you get that?
Okay, so they could go until the age of 35, 40 with no wife.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's rare. That's rare. That's rare for the culture. But it's starting to happen more and more. Okay, and I think one of the reasons is because getting married at a younger age was again, like I said, it was a great financial business move. And it's something that you wanted to happen, and you made it happen. And there was no such thing as divorce. But what you will see happening more and more in places like Indonesia, where it is still a developing nation, but it's already been infiltrated by this sort of middle class debt society, is that because of culture, the kids are staying home. They're still staying home because, oh no, you stay with the family until you get married, and then you're on your own. But they're not getting married anymore, so they're staying with the family longer.
Okay, so why in Indonesia are they not getting married? What's the difference between what's happening in the West versus Indonesia? Is it the same thing?
I think it's the same thing. They're just 20 years behind. That's all. They're 20 years in the past. That's all. It's the phenomenon is the same, but they're in the past. Okay, they're still trying to catch up to where we are today.
Right. I understand.
What Indonesia is going through today, we went through back in the 1950s.
50s? I was going to say fast forward a little bit more.
Maybe
you say 80s?
Well, no, I think I think we were pretty stuck into the middle what do you call it? Middle class credit or middle class debt slave. When did the middle class debt slave take a hold in America?
70s, 80s.
Okay, well then there you go. And it's fun. It's interesting you say 70s and 80s because I'm not a buff on a lot of that history, but when I went to Indonesia in 2002, that was only 4 years after the fall of Suharto. All right, that's it. 4 years.
Yeah, funny how that all gets ushered in after the dictator.
Yes. But it was as soon as he went down, the IMF bought up Bank Indonesia, and basically trashed their currency, bought all the banks, and then redistributed through credit. Right.
Well, you have to understand a lot of that happened with the fall of communism. I mean, when communism fell, India crashed. A lot of other former communist countries crashed, such as North Korea. So the IMF came in and started giving them loans, microloans, and what have you.
Well, they bought up their banks. They bought their currency. They're just like, what you have now is now ours. It's worth nothing. We're going to buy it all, and now we're going to improve it, and we're going to start giving out loans, usury.
Right.
You know who invented that?
Our good friends.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the part of the show where we've kind of exhausted what we wanted to talk about MGTOW. We might come back to it. But I think we should move forward now, Nick, again with the communist talk, and we're
let me get into front of my computer. As far as I wasn't in front of my computer with the 13th graders. Hang on one second before
okay.
we
Okay.
veer too far off.
Okay.
Uno momento.
Uno momento.
Male redundant ridge from MGTOW death blows.
Now, is there anybody listening now?
Oh, okay. Okay, wait. Sorry, go on. What were you saying?
I was just going to quickly go, before you go into that, I was going to go through the chats. Rico's still talking. He says, sadly, modernity and feminism has robbed them of it, and that's men. Yeah, I suppose. And when we were talking about 13th grader, that was Rico.
Okay.
Chiming
There's
in.
something called hikikimori in Japan. Do you know what hikikimori is?
I've heard it, but I'm not. You're going to have to refresh me.
Hikikimori is a social phenomenon in Japan where the males are completely checking out of reality and becoming isolated within their den.
That's why I've heard
and becoming parasitic to their families that are close. Again, the guys that are addicted to anime porn, right?
But no, wait a second.
They
That's
are
what they
playing video
say.
games.
That's what they say. They say the media. You got to remember, in our society, when men aren't stepping up to the roles that they've been that's been shoved down their throats, you must be protector, provider, and a manufacturer of sperm. That's your job. If you don't do it, you got to stand in front of a bullet. If you don't do it, what happens is they shame you. That's the tactic. So when men suddenly go, and this MGTOW went through this, man. MGTOW went through this. When men said, oh, you know what? I don't want to protect you. I don't want to provide for you. I don't want to stand in front of a bullet for you. I don't want to stay on the ship when it goes down for you. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm not disposable anymore. Go fuck yourself. I'm walking away. The only thing they could do was shame them. And that's what they did. Well, you're just living in the basement with your mother. You're playing video games. So
right.
When you hear this criticism of these Japanese men, you need to take it with a grain of salt, and you need to kind of think, wait a second. Because the first reaction from society is to shame. Shame, shame, shame.
Well, in Japan, they don't really shame them. The parents okay with them living in their house because I guess they're there, mom's boy's home, he can somewhat do things in the house. They don't, for whatever reason in Japan, they don't shame women for not getting married, and they don't shame men for not getting married, which is part of the reason why they're part of a societal collapse.
No, because shaming men into doing stuff has been the sorry, I swallowed something on the wrong tube there. Hold on a second. Shaming men into order, into line, has always been the go-to. What the stories you're hearing from Japan are probably mostly coming out of Western media, most likely. So the truth of what's going on the ground, like right on the ground in Japan, I wouldn't trust what Western media is trying to tell you, because what they're trying to sell you is the same thing they sell you about MGTOW whenever that hits the radar. And if
right.
If you've ever heard of the have you heard of the White Ribbon campaign?
When when guys didn't want to go and fight in wars.
Yeah. Women in society shamed them, just handed them a ribbon. You're a coward. Go fuck yourself. Go die. Why aren't you dying for me? Why aren't you going to this war to die? This unjust war to die, right? That doesn't change, man. It doesn't
well, again, the situation in Japan is very similar to the situation in North America, and not the same as what's happening in Europe, where, again, the Japanese male, because of their save-face culture, because they're unable to find a spouse, because they're unable to find a job, they go hikikimori, which is like a Japanese version of MGTOW.
Yeah. They call them the grass eaters. I think it translates to the grass eaters. Yeah.
Yes, they're called the grass eaters. And what people have to understand about Japanese culture is, number one, in order for a male to get married, he first has to make more money than the women.
Yeah.
But guys, again, women are making more money than them, so the women are not obviously going to get married to a guy who's making
he's got no choice.
money than them. Right. Furthermore, is if the male was to get married, he has to pay for everyone to attend his wedding, and he
Yes.
has to have as many people as possible attend his wedding,
Hmm.
right? So basically, you've completely turned men off to any type of concept of marriage in Japan. Furthermore, is Japanese women are very cold, and there's a reason why you don't see Western men marry women from China or Japan or Vietnam for that matter, because they are very, very cold, unempathetic
Hmm.
type of females.
Yeah.
And most guys don't really want to be around women that are like that. I mean, imagine being married and once you have a child, you're obviously below the fucking dog.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you might as well sleep in the shed and make sure you take care of this house and provide everything for everyone in this house, and you get nothing in return.
Well,
That does not sound very appealing to any man,
no.
and this is becoming more commonplace in America now. That type of mentality.
Well, the grass eater movement is much older than MGTOW. It beat
No, yes, it's been around for about 20, 25
it
years.
beats MGTOW by about a decade. Let's just say.
Yes,
On a,
right. But again, I've stated this: Japan is somewhat of the Japan and Australia are somewhat of the test tube baby for the rest of the world. You use Australia as a test tube for social planning, for infrastructure, for zoning and codes, and you use Japan as a test tube for the social engineering between men and women.
yeah. Well, there's the canary in the coal mine, and I'll tell you,
Yes.
yeah, and I'll tell you the it's interesting. What I think we're seeing happen, and we're kind of gonna going full circle back to when we started talking. Is what I think we're seeing happen is we're seeing culture, and culture based on tradition and ritual. We're seeing it come full steam, slap in the face to the evolution of basically, I would say, um, what would you call it? I want to say, I want to say, I want to give it like a political system, but I don't know if it's just the political systems we run in. It's capitalist. We're talking about Let's look at it this way: the Western world, which includes Japan. I mean, the
Yeah, oh yeah.
industrialized.
Well, once you have Disney part of the West,
Yeah, the industrialized
right?
world. Well, yeah, the industrialized world, the West, which does include Japan, which does include Australia. They're not. They are not socialist. They are not communist. And what you're seeing happening is culture and tradition and habit hitting face head on with what capitalism creates in a society. I mean, I think it's lifted us out of a lot of just old traditions that we don't need anymore. But
Right.
they're so ingrained in our minds, we don't know how to improve on them or let them go and start something
Well,
new.
you're venturing into something called the Zeitgeist movement a little bit, where we're moving towards it's more post World War II. We're living off the fumes of World War II. That's where we're at. We're living off the fumes of the past 4 or 5 decades of post World War II rebuild. And we're at the point where there's no more wars and no more threats and there's no more things. So you might as well usher in now what? This cultural Marxist,
Oh Christ!
neo fascist globalization type of agenda. But before I go down that path with you, let me
Hmm.
finish the Hikikomori and the
Okay,
13th graders.
okay,
So the American white suburban male, and to a lesser extent blacks for that matter, has checked out of reality but still fully aware of himself. He lives the life of Hamlet in a constant state of stagnation, depression, and low self-worth, insecure, and for some schizoid type personality. The general population of 13th graders personalities are dusky and faded, a hollowed version of his former self from such chronic masochistic behaviors. If my life is sexless, life is somewhat meaningless. What's the sense of living if death is inevitable? The 13th graders are the men who are voices of both MGTOW and social conservatives trying to persuade them out of their despair. Many of the 13th graders in adolescence, many 13th graders in their adolescence were achievers, high grades, popular, athletic, and well-rounded individuals loved by many with a stable background. Sometime after adolescence, he becomes either realistic of his surroundings or has some type of setback in his life and falls into a state of despair from what he perceives as a hostile environment and never snaps out of it until his codependents, usually his parents, either die or abandon him. With such a competitive nature in society, both economically and socially, why not just be a dependent on my relatives and be a bludgeon on my friends? The 13th grader has restricted mundane routines. Wakes up in the late afternoon, usually a phone call from a close friend to smoke weed. He paces back and forth in his den, clutching his cell phone, spends a great deal of time grooming himself, all dressed up, nowhere to go, watches pornography, enjoys sports recaps, video games, reheats a hot meal cooked by his mother from the previous nights. He is practically helpless, unable to complete even the most basic functions such as urinating straight into the toilet bowl or toasting bread without burning it. Does little to no household chores, doesn't help his immediate family, cuts off ties to extended family members to hide himself from embarrassment. He gaslights his nearest and dearest, steals trivial objects to pawn, and is nothing more than a heavy financial and emotional burden to all. He most certainly cannot hold a job more than a few months, and the jobs are usually that of a common laborer or working part-time in the service industry. He procrastinates every task unless in a witty mood. When does he complete a task? He demands acknowledgement and restitution for the completion of the task. He leaves the house with little to no money, walks up the street to engage in light banter or local gossip with friends. His friends are of his ilk or a smidge higher on the social ladder. He embraces the self-pity role, much like a panhandler grubbing for a cigarette or a slice of pizza. His friends abide and encourage this behavior since they enjoy his character. His nights are spent inebriated on drugs and alcohol, engages usually a tribe he has known for a long extended period of time. He treats his friends and women within the tribe as family. They are his posse and share the same state of psychosis of immaturity. They simply do not want to be adults. The 13th grader is also a white knight, skulking in a perverted manner, friend requesting young women he's never met, liking or commenting on social media, fueling the fire of women's self-warped image. Where are you going tonight? What are you doing? Reading and responding to the most cackling, bubbly gibberish you would expect from an attractive 20-something. He is always waiting wayside for the response. When confronted with his adolescence, when confronted with his indolence, he rages in an all-or-nothing mindset known as splitting in psychology, and an act a child would do. He exploits his relatives and friends' weaknesses, and he hits below the belt to warn off threats. The weaknesses of those closest are used as a bargaining chip and retains all negative datums for later exploitation. For example, a mother who has a drinking problem or a father who remarried, when pressed, exposes those insecurities that hurt. Me, you love so and so more, or you are a drunk, you don't know what you're talking about. You left me, so why do you care? Or a friend who refuses to give in to a demand, he will be resentful and will not respond until a friend apologizes or moves the topic to something that will brighten his mood. Other times he will ignore that. The 13th grader falls into a few subculture groups. First, the wannabe street kingpin, intruding a delusional opulence, a grandiosity of pushing weight, being idolized by his tribe or gang, an illusion of fighting to be an alpha while living in the dirty life in the school of hard knocks. demands attention and respect, usually enjoys rap music, weightlifting, somatic narcissism, usually cover with born to lose tattoos. That's pretty much as far as I got as far as that writing goes. But that kind of sums up a 13th grader.
Now I'm wondering if some of what you said might put 13th graders into different cultural classes or racial classes.
Well, it's mostly black and whites for that matter in United States.
Okay.
The white 13th grader is becoming more like an African American male. That's kind of what I'm saying, minus
Yeah.
the violence.
Yeah. Like
He
yeah.
chooses pot.
Yeah.
He chooses pot and opioids. African Americans don't really.
No. They
In
choose
all honesty, African Americans don't really do drugs. They kind of just smoke weed and enjoy a glass of Hennessy once in a while.
yeah, and they like guns and knives.
Right.
Well, then you're getting into cultural differences. But really, the idea of the 13th grade, I understand it. I completely understand it. I mean, even people of my generation or my age, they've been through that shit. They understand it.
But again, how are you supposed to argue with someone that sees life? How are you supposed to argue with someone that sees life through such a nihilistic view, where it's, what, if I'm just gonna die, why engage in anything? You see what I'm saying?
What I would do, if I were to meet someone that fell into this category, regardless of their age, what I would do is I would attempt to slowly feed them a red pill and massage it down their throat in order for them to get the fuck out of that reality. Because I think a lot of the 13th grade is ignorance, and it's not willful ignorance. It's ignorance that's been taught them. They don't even know.
They were never taught anything.
Yes, they don't know the other side.
Yeah, that's also my argument to people that give millennials a hard time. My mother asked me the other day, is that how you feel about me and your father, that we never taught you anything? I go, no, not you two, but society as a whole. We graduated high school, and then what?
Yeah.
And then what? And I kind of knew something was wrong when I graduated high school, because I was taught while in high school, it's either you go to college or you get a full-time job. So when I graduated high school, I go, what, let me take a year or two off from going to college. I really don't want to go right back into going into school. Let me go and find a full-time job. Well, they don't exist, right?
Yeah.
So I got stuck working at a supermarket for longer than I should have. And every time I tried getting out of the supermarket, no one would hire me because I have no job experience. Well, I have no job experience because I don't have a job, right? So it becomes this catch-22 constantly, where every time I would try to apply to some type of entry-level position, they would kind of reject me, like, we really don't have the time to show you how to do this job. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the 13th grader kind of just completely checks out, where, you know what, fuck you, I'm just going to stay in my room all day and play video games.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, and hopefully the 13th grader, if he has access to the internet, he can find the right sources to kind of start pulling his mind toward other ways.
He won't do it.
Probably not.
Won't do it. It's video games, it's weed smoking, and it's sports. That sums up the 13th grader's mindset.
Well, look at this. The 13th graders in Japan, their families are still fucking supporting them, but not here.
Well, they are here. They live with their parents. They're bludgeons on their parents. See what I'm saying? I mean, that was kind of what how I summed it up. And they're parasites. And then the problem becomes also with the 13th grader is that because you're stuck wherever it is you are, whoever is in the vicinity with you, they become somewhat of the warden of your prison. Right? Yeah. So you're looking at your parents as it's your fault. You're the warden to my prison cell. And then they lash out against their parents.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like I said, I would
I
personally.
know it's a total different topic. I wanted to throw this one at you for a change.
Mhm.
That's what a 13th grader is to me, and
No,
it's really sad. And these are the people that are dying from. These are the opioid addicts. These are the 13th grader is a person doing opioids, oxycontins, and
if
what have you.
if I could set up a booth, a public booth that had that had a sign written above it with big black letters that said MGTOW, and I could have all these 13 graders come up to it, and I had them a brochure and give them a seat in the class, I would fucking do it, because I guarantee you I could probably get them all out of that, and it wouldn't take them
Yes,
long.
well, I MGTOW community and the social conservatives trying to pry the 13th graders out from their, nihilistic point of view.
Yeah, it is a nihilistic point of view. It's very nihilistic. But the thing is, the thing they have going for them, and I would say they're all, I would say 13th graders are great MGTOW candidates, because the one thing they have going for them is that they're choosing a path that everyone else fucking despises. Nobody supports it, you know.
Right.
And
It's a cry for help in a sense.
yes, it is a cry for help in a sense, and those people need guidance more than anyone else, but they're not going to get it from society. Regular society isn't going to go, well, you know what? Maybe we fucked up. We should, maybe this and this, and we can help you. No, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. And that's the thing about discipline of the mind through the red pill, through MGTOW. Is like, understand the world you live in. Don't lash out at it blindly. Understand it. Understand why it behaves that way. I think a lot of these 13 graders, as soon as they understand why they are in the situation they're in, and why people behave the way they do towards them, that's a better opportunity for them to change.
Hmm.
You know, and as long as they're not fucking mentally ill or have some kind of mental problem, as long as they're sane
But
people.
would it be what could it perhaps be a mental illness is the other question.
Not an illness. I mean, mental illness is different from just sort of a behavioral pattern. To me, it's
Hmm.
more of a
Hmm.
behavioral pattern, uh, where, I mean, anybody can experience that. Anybody in their own life, if you do one thing enough for a long enough time and repeat it over and over again, it becomes a pattern. It doesn't make you mentally ill. It's a pattern. That's a behavioral pattern.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what it lacks is it lacks a system of discipline. And when I say discipline, you can go into a lot of different things. The army gives you discipline, they say. Join the army, it'll give you discipline. I mean, discipline exists in 1,000 different forms, and it has 1,000 different outcomes. But I think the strongest discipline is personal discipline. You don't discipline that is sort of beat into you or sold to you doesn't work as well as discipline that is sort of self-awareness. Okay, what needs to be advertised to a lot of these 13 graders is self-awareness, the discipline that comes through self-awareness, and just a few key elements of the world around you. Understand it, and then from there, you create a bit of self-discipline. And you know what's funny? We were joking about this is a pro-Sharia channel. It's funny because I learned a lot about this after I converted to become a Muslim, and I learned about the ritual of intermittent fasting through Ramadan, right? And I've tried to understand it on a religious level, but then I realized this is really just advertising personal discipline. That's all it is. It's like, okay, from the time that the sun rises to the sun sets, you don't eat or drink, and you create this sort of personal discipline away from a certain behavior or pattern for 12 to 14 hours in a day. And you do that repeatedly for about a month, and when you come out of it, you realize, holy shit, I have some power. I have this personal power, this personal discipline.
Well, but what I see, especially now, weed has just been legalized in California. I don't know if you're aware of this or
Mm-hmm.
not. Is that the marijuana
Absolutely.
is going to fuel the mindset of the 13th grader even
Lack
further
of
because it
discipline.
makes you okay with being bored.
Yeah, lack of discipline. I absolutely agree, man. And it's funny because I'm honestly considering going into the business of it. So there's a little
Yeah,
bit
well,
of
why not? You can
yeah,
profit off the 13th grader.
exactly. Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, it's funny because I'm thinking I'm honestly and seriously thinking about it, and I'm on my way to maybe that's what I'm gonna do. I want to profit off because it's happening in Canada in different provinces at different times, but like retail, it's open for retail. They're going to open it up for retail. They first said in July. I think they're going to push it back a couple months because, of course, the liberal government can't figure out how to undercut the black market because they're fucking morons. They're idiots. But the reality of it is, I'm thinking, this I can make money off this, and I'm here in Canada. I'm stuck here for a long time. I might as well do it. But you're right.
Mhm.
You're right. Marijuana is, man.
Yeah, people don't seem to realize, especially the libertarian argument, is they don't seem to realize what it is you're cheering for. I mean,
Yes.
this is what the colonial British did to China with the opium dens. It's
Yeah.
no different.
It's no
It's
different.
no different.
Absolutely.
Furthermore, they're attacking anyone that's actually just growing pot still.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
if you're growing pot, yeah, but even though it's legalized, if you're caught growing pot, you're still in deep shit. You're still in hot water and breaking laws.
Yeah, and again, those kind of laws are going to change from state to state, from province to province, um, on how they're going to deal with it. But in the end, you're right. Marijuana, on its own, as this very natural part of our lives. I mean, and the difference between
It's becoming normalized.
yeah,
And then the problem is that when I get thrown with the libertarian argument is, oh, they did that because they couldn't tax it. Okay, I understand where you're going with that argument. I get it, but you have to understand the differences between alcohol and weed. And they say, oh, well, when did weed ever hurt anybody? You're right. Weed doesn't
yes,
do anything.
yeah,
There's
doesn't.
no ambition. And I can tell you from someone who used to smoke a lot of marijuana is that it used to be me and my friends staring at a wall and talk about all the things that we should be doing.
Hmm.
That's what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these the thing about marijuana and the difference between it and let's say alcohol. I mean, I'm in the business of selling alcohol to people. Um, Marijuana as a intoxicant, let's call it an intoxicant. It is completely
Yeah.
natural, but without production. You don't need to produce it, and you just plant a seed, it grows, and you take it, you smoke it, and it's done. There's no distilling.
Oh, you break it up a little bit.
Okay, there's no distillation. There's no distilling. There's no you don't have there's no fermentation. There's nothing involved. I mean,
Right.
the,
Yes.
it's like pulling and
There's not a long process
no,
behind.
no. It's like, can you hear me? No, breaking
Nope,
up
you're
here.
breaking up. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We're going through the same shit. Keep talking. Talk.
Losing you there, buddy.
I hear you. I hear you. You?
A little bit. Not clear. There you go. Now I hear you. You're back.
Okay. Now,
You're back. You're good. You're good.
okay. Now the difference.
Repeat what you just said.
Okay. When it comes to marijuana, there is no there's no process between the real production of the product from the time it's put in the ground and the time you put it in between your lips. It's very, very simple. It's like pulling fruit off a tree. Can you hear this?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like growing fruit. You plant the seed, the fruit comes, it bears fruit, you pick it, you eat it. Done. Alcohol is a huge process. It's a process of distillation, it's a process of fermentation. It's a huge process to get from a seed in the ground to alcohol that you can drink. Marijuana is much simpler, much more simpler, and I think that's the reason why it's been illegal for so long. Is because it'd be like trying to make carrots illegal. How do you do it? I mean, how do you do it? Like
Yeah, it's much more difficult, and it's hard to regulate it,
yeah, hard
which
to
is why
regulate.
they're clamping down. That's why more of a reason why they're clamping down on people that are just growing it. Well, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of marijuana. Is that, you know, it just look what you're doing is you're fueling the problem with legalizing marijuana, and a lot of people don't seem to realize that. If you haven't noticed, and I started putting this together recently, uh, especially after the cultural critique, is that what's happening, and this goes right back to MGTOW AM. You're gonna love what I've linked up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're legalizing marijuana, marriage. Soon they're gonna across the board legalize gambling in the United States, right? So these are all vices. These are all things that go back to the Bible saying you can't do these things. But what won't they leave out of all those things, that all the vices? Prostitution. Never gonna happen. Right?
Yeah.
Think about it. They're not gonna okay prostitution ever.
Hey, you're cutting out, man.
Because again, because the feminist narrative, they're not going to let that one out of the scapegoat. Because again, with their agenda of punishing males, punishing heterosexual activities, and with prostitution, you may have more births, and birth rates may go up, which is not what they want.
Yeah, yeah. But you were kind of cutting out, in and out there. Have you moved somewhere?
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Did you move anywhere different?
Oh, you're breaking up a bit.
Okay, shit. So we're both having problems. Son of a bitch.
Keep talking. You're almost there.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Oh, you're back. You're back. You're good.
Okay,
You're good.
I wanted to chime in on what you were talking about with prostitution, putting it all together. Going back quickly to marijuana, yes, marijuana.
You sound so ridiculous right now.
Is it still doing it? Yeah. Okay. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm getting the robot from you too, man. Hello. Hello.
Okay.
I
I
can hear
think we
you.
lost them.
No, I can hear you.
AM, if you can hear us,
I can hear you.
try leaving and coming back if possible.
I can hear you.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Hello.
Uh,
So as I was, I mean, when, yep, yeah, hello.
Go ahead.
No, not happening, buddy.
Just go,
So
talk.
I find it funny for anyone listening. My apologies. AM is cutting in and out at the moment. Is there anyone in the live chat? I hear you both. Oh, okay, great. So as I was stating before, is that I think what we'll see is more things to become things that we've viewed as unethical and immoral, becoming more accepted, such as gambling, such as again this the same sex marriage, transgender. You're going to see more again.
Pedophilia.
pedophilia. There you are. You're back. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you're gonna yeah, pedophilia is definitely on the agenda. I don't. There's no doubt about it. And a lot of people don't understand that most homosexuals, I'm sorry, most pedophiles identify as being homosexuals. It's never little girls they touch. Never forget that. It's never like a 6 or 7 year old girl that gets touched. It's always a little boy that
It's
gets
always a
touched, and
boy.
everyone seems to forget that.
It's because again, the gynocentric agenda keeps men as disposable. So you're always going to hear, um, "Oh, you know what? It's okay if a female teacher rapes an 11-year-old boy. You know, that's not a big deal. We should actually clap our hands for that 11-year-old boy because oh man, what
He got
11-year-old
laid.
boy? Yeah, what
He's a
11-year-old
lucky.
boy wouldn't want that? Meanwhile, the kid's fucked up, confused, has no idea what the fuck is going on. All right. An example. There is a person I follow on Twitter, and again, I think this is part of some of the MGTOW community I follow on Twitter. Um, I think there's one Misandry, MGTOW Misandry, one of the guys that I follow on Twitter. And a few other people. One of the things I see come up often is there'll be headlines, and these headlines are daily. I swear to God, they are daily, and it's mind blowing. Daily, there is a headline of a female teacher, often a teacher, 80% of the time a teacher, raping or molesting or sexually molesting a young boy. Okay? These headlines are fucking daily.
It's becoming more and more rampant. Yes.
Not more and more rampant. I think it's always been rampant. It's
You
become
think, yeah?
reported. It's now becoming
Reported.
reported more. Big
Hmm.
difference. Now it's being reported. It's actually being reported. I don't think this is becoming more rampant. I think it's becoming reported because it was always covered up. It was never. But even today, even until now, the headlines will say school teacher has a sexual romp, an affair with 12-year-old boy. It's not a fucking sexual romp or affair.
He was sexually abused.
You abused that kid. You,
Right.
but every single fucking headline says it again and again. For the last week, I've seen a new headline every day, and it's about a woman. It's always a white woman too, by the way, and often a teacher having an affair, a sexual romp with her 12-year-old students. Like, what the fuck?
Well, again, this is part of the moral decline. But I don't know if you heard me before we got disconnected there
Hmm.
for a split for a little bit. Is that everything's becoming normalized, but
Yes.
prostitution will never be normalized.
Well, male pedophiles will never be normalized, ever.
I don't. I think that will be. I
Well,
think it will
female
be.
pedophiles already are. They already are
So why not
normalized.
just have male pedophiles
Yeah,
then?
yeah, maybe you're
This is
right.
part of the homosexual. This is part of the homosexual agenda, and no one seems to really understand it.
Nobody wants to talk about it
And
either.
mind you, I don't know. I don't know if you've seen the article, but if you type in "salon pedophile" into Google search, the article is how pedophiles are in fact victims.
Yes, absolutely. I've seen that shit.
Did you see that article?
I don't know if I saw that specific article, but I've seen a lot. I mean, I got my finger on the pulse of all this shit, so it comes up, and I see it in my feeds. I see it in my channels. I know what's going on, and it's really fucking sad. I mean, I'm terrified. When I put my kid into his middle school here in Canada just this last year, I went and I met all the teachers, and I had to actually kneel and say a small prayer for the fact that his teacher was a man and not a woman. I was like, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you that he has a male teacher and not a goddamn woman teacher. Thank you. Thank you. And I found that a lot of the teachers in the middle school it was almost 50-50, male, female. And I was like, thank you. The last thing I want is my son to be at the mercy of fucking females. Every time he's out of my sight, he's going to be in a school where it's all females just fucking hitting him up. No, it's the last thing I want. I was very happy about
Well,
that.
I sent you the article recently about how Governor Cuomo of New York has now made pretty much gave the green light and the incentive for women to start claiming, sexual harassment claims, saying that if you file a claim stating sexual harassment, you don't have to pay taxes on the gains you gained. I sent you that.
Yeah, I saw that.
And his justification for it is more women will come out and speak out more. This gives them an incentive to speak out more to this. So wait, you give them a tax write-off to come out?
I know. I didn't understand it. When you sent it to me, I couldn't.
Yeah, I know you didn't understand it.
My logical mind was just like,
mind-blowing.
yeah, my logical mind was like, what does that mean, actually?
Right.
I don't get it.
It means that you don't have to pay tax on the gains that your settlement. You don't have to pay gains on the settlement.
Yes. It was insane.
You don't have to pay taxes on it.
Accuse a man, hashtag me too, and you don't pay taxes. Get on board,
Yes,
everybody.
correct.
Get on board. And that's fucking real, listeners.
But the glory of feminism and the glory of the left is how fucking stupid and insane it really is. Because now what you've done is backstab feminism. Because guess what? Employers are going to do what? Not hire women anymore.
Well, the solution to feminism and the solution to communism, they're all the same. The solution to feminism, communism, socialism. The solution to it is a strong, free market capitalist society. If those things are in place and they're strong and they're allowed to be in place, then feminism will fail. Socialism will fail. And I'm watching this happen every day. And I'm watching it happen through the bread and circus function of our lives, which is the media. This is where they want our attention. And more, and we brought this up with Star Wars in the past. I brought it up with the new Ghostbusters reboot. I've talked about it with Marvel Comics. The socialism, communism, and feminism has infected the mainstream concepts of media. It's infected Facebook. It's infected YouTube. It's infected Google. We're seeing it right now. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But what's keeping it at bay? There's one thing keeping it at bay, and that's the free market. Because if people don't want to buy that shit, they won't, and they'll lose money. That is what's keeping it just barely at bay, just barely out of reach of taking total control. They are in the education systems. They're deep into the education, post-secondary education, especially universities and colleges, and through social media, they're there as well. The only thing that they have left to destroy is the free market. If they can destroy the free market, then kiss American civilization goodbye, because that's the only thing that's keeping it at bay as we speak. Do you understand?
Well, I mean that's almost completely dead. Also,
not really, because I've seen it happen. Ghostbusters failed. It failed. Nobody bought it.
Yes, but I've had this conversation with you before. It's not about profit anymore. This is about control and power. It's the same reason why the fucking newspaper. But again, I showed you that article, that Newsday newspaper, which is the Long Island and New York City kind of newspaper, pretty much just this region, Long Island, like Queens and forward, east of Queens. That no one's buying this new paper is obviously being subsidized by some type of higher power. So again, if it's being subsidized, no one's buying it. Hollywood's being subsidized.
They're trying to
by very powerful people.
They're trying to destroy the free market. And how do you destroy the free market? How do you do it? You know how? Monopolies.
Yeah. I'm going to another. I'm trying to get to you that it's a much higher level now. Is that Hollywood, the newspapers, certain websites?
Monopolies.
They're not for profit anymore. This is about
Well, no,
control at this point.
they'll always be for profit. I mean, it can't exist without some profit.
No, you're not understanding. I'm saying that the people who are controlling these sectors within our society, it's not for profit anymore. This is now about power. So what they're
Yeah.
doing is they have so much, these people have so much power, and I'm sorry, have so much money, is that they can just subsidize it
Hold
and
on a
just
second.
keep feeding it money. Put this release this movie. I know it's gonna flop, but it's for social engineering.
Yes.
So just release the movie and I'm gonna pay it.
And
You understand?
That's my point. But it's still for profit. You even said yourself, money, power. It's still for profit. The difference is this: they're trying to destroy free market. Free market is competition. That's capitalism. Capitalism is a free market. It's competition. It is a completely free and competitive market between production and consumption. And there are 1,000 levels, and I brought this up before in our talks. There's so many levels in between the production of something and the consumption of something. And in a true free market capitalist society, that creates not conflict, competition. It creates competition, and competition creates growth. Now, what they're doing now, how do you? This is the Communist Manifesto, and you just read it, on how to destroy a free market. A free market is.
Well,
hold on, let me finish.
Sorry, yeah, go.
Let me finish. The free market is the garlic. It is the wooden stake to the vampirism of fucking communism. That's exactly what it is. How do you get rid of that? You have to. The only way you can do it is through monopoly. Which is manipulating free market to the point where the market that exists now translates into one owner instead of many owners. And that's what they're doing. I mean, Disney now owns Fox. The conglomerates of media.
I wonder where that's gonna lead to.
Absolutely. The conglomerates of media there's 6 companies that own every media outlet. The only way to destroy the free market. Once the free market was put into place, the capitalist free market was put into place with tons of competition, a free market competition. Economy grew, it strove, it became something else. It became a life of its own, and everyone benefited. This is what made America a place that everybody wants to fucking migrate to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they understood from the very beginning that the only way to undermine that is to use the kryptonite to capitalism, and the free market is monopoly. It's the only way. And what monopoly is you extort the process of capitalism to the point where there's no longer any competition, but the system is still in place. It still exists, but the competition has been eliminated. And in the beginning, in the 1920s and 1930s in the United States, in the beginning, the idea was a free market capitalist system. To keep it in check, was to make sure we had laws to outlaw monopoly.
Antitrust laws, yes.
Yes.
As we can see, that's thrown right out the window.
It's thrown out the window. They threw it away, man. It's done. It's fucking done. And now
I think Amazon accounts for 1/4 now of all consumer buying, or some crazy number. You can look back when the supermarket came around. Yeah. Oh wow, supermarkets, how cool and stuff. Now, I'll give you a great example. The supermarket chain in New York, which is owned by the Dutch. They come in, they offered all these low prices. Great, everyone started shopping there. Put all the other supermarkets out of business. They're the only supermarket in town now, and guess what they do? Price gouge.
Of course.
And what's happening in Cambodia is called product dumping. And the concept of product dumping is you have these multinational corporations dumping the goods. Let's say power. I was in the field with power tools. So Bosch, you know what Bosch is, right?
No, what's Bosch?
Bosch Power Tools.
Oh yes, 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 yes,
All right, but yeah, Bosch is a German company. There's Bosch
yes.
American and regular Bosch, which is German. So Bosch comes into Cambodia where there's a lot of construction taking place. So Bosch product dumps these tools onto Cambodia. I went shopping for power tools with my site supervisor, and I'm like, oh my God, you can get a cordless power drill, a Bosch cordless power drill for under $100. In New York, this be two, three, four, $500
Yeah,
drill.
yeah.
Why is it so cheap? Well, the multinational said, you know what? Dump all these fucking products into Cambodia. This way, you put repairmen out of
Yeah,
business,
yeah. Well, this,
right? So you don't have the incentive to fix the tool, the broken tool anymore,
yeah.
which is a huge industry in Cambodia,
Of course
which
it
is
would be.
repairing power tools and things like that.
Well, just
So you put
repairing
all
anything.
these, well, yeah, repairing it, correct, exactly, exactly. So you destroy a whole fucking sector of a free market,
Yes,
mind you.
that
Cambodia
is a
is it's a Hobbesian libertarian nightmare. That's how I describe Cambodia.
yeah.
It's do what you want. You want to fix power tools for a living, go ahead and do it. But what these multinationals are doing now is product dumping. This way, you drive up all the repairmen, get rid of all of them, get rid of all these little mom and pop stores that sell knockoff Chinese power tools.
Yeah.
Now you're stuck with a multinational power tool, and once all of them are gone, ratchet up the price on them. You're stuck with this product now.
Well, this is a funny thing. If like what you're talking about in Cambodia and in some of these other countries, and I missed it by 4 years in Indonesia, but they did function on a real sort of free market capitalist system. You have to understand, a lot of them were already what do you call it? They were taken over by other foreign countries, foreign interests that had already come in there. But before that, that's the system they ran on. That's the absolute system they ran on. Nobody was uber rich. Nobody was uber poor. It was a system of a free market, in where you traded goods and services within a realm of competition. The Americans perfected that system, and they created the concept of the first world. You know, before the Americas, there was no idea of first world. Everybody was third world. And they stepped the game up, and they used that process. And it worked. It functioned so well. That we came to where we are today. But this is the question I wanted to ask you a long, long time ago, and I'm gonna break it down right now. What is the benefit? What is the benefit to the people in power to have the world run under a socialist / communist system? What is the benefit to them? Why is that the
Well,
end goal?
they can still have the free market. They can still enjoy all the goods. They just get to have power and control over it.
I need to understand that. I don't get it.
Well, you have to understand this is the issue. Again, this is the issue with Bernie Sanders supporters. These are the issue with socialist ideas and people who support communism and stuff. Is you don't understand the mindset of the people at the top. They are like robots. They are psychopaths. They're not gonna hug you, and they're not your friend. They're ruthless killers. The worst of the worst rise to the top. And what do they want? They're sadistic. They are pedophiles, as we
Yeah.
pointed out many times. And so this is more of it's a different type of mindset, and the average person especially that supports the left, doesn't seem to really understand that. First, they failed at history, because they don't understand, where all these things have been implemented. These type of ideas have led to the deaths of tens, if not hundreds of millions of people dead. I mean, the past 20th century, the most deaths caused in the past 20th century, which was the most bloodiest century in world history, it was predominantly, it wasn't wars, it was communist ideas and socialist ideas that led to all these deaths.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's control. That's really what it comes down to.
Okay, and again, going back to my question, I wanted to ask you that. It's like what is the benefit of them? Because it seems that the idea of socialism, the idea of communism, it doesn't benefit the most people. It benefits very few people, very very few. I mean, history has said that.
But but their argument is so does capitalism.
But no, that's absolutely not true. You can't even prove that through history. Are you kidding me? Capitalism has benefited the most amount of people. A free market capitalist system has benefited the most. How can you deny that? I don't understand how anybody could possibly deny that. And in fact, the concept of a free market didn't exist in America alone. Hundreds of years before it existed in the archipelagos of Asia. It was a free market system. It was a trade of goods and services and a competition for the value of those goods and services. It always was. They weren't. I mean, they weren't fighting each other over political ideology at the time. Often it was just grabs of land and resources. But there was still a system of trade that existed as a free market system. And it was competition that made it either die or live. And now you have people, and honestly, like you have young people that I see, and I don't go out into the real world and socialize a lot with people, but online I see a lot of young people going, no, we need to be socialists, we need to be communist. I mean, that's what we have to share everything. I'm like, what? What?
Well, I finally, for the first time, read the Communist Manifesto this week, and it was a very brief. It's actually not that long of a read.
So fill us in.
Well, the crux of what I got from it, it was Pol Pot. I mean, this is what Pol Pot was talking about. You need to get rid of a whole system and start anew. And that's really what it comes down to. You must get rid of whatever the system that's in place and replace it with a new one. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, this is the Khmer Rouge. I mean, this is purely not Lenin, not Stalin, not the Bolshevik Revolution. I got from it more the Khmer Rouge from it. That was my virgin reading eyes. That was the crux of what I got from reading it.
Okay, it can't be that simple.
It was. It's a very simple read. It's really not that hard of a read. The bottom line is private property's got to go. That was purely the family got to go. Women
to what end? To what
pretty
end?
much get rid of money. Money's got to go. Money's got to get rid of.
To what end?
But that's the glory of it. That's the glory of the left. It just keeps going and going and going. So in order to the ideas were that the system that's in place was put in place by the middle class and the people that are in charge of pretty much the society. How do you get to uproot all this with all these ideas is by pretty much throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
You know what that sounds like to me, man? And I think it sounds like to most intelligent people it sounds like mental illness. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like
Marx, he didn't work Marx. In fact, one of his children died and blamed it on the middle class for the child's death. I'm like, no, you didn't fucking work, you moron.
Well, that sounds like a lot of people today in social media that call themselves liberals, which is fucking fantastic. And I don't understand how this has been perpetuated for so long. I would like to know what was the turning point, the linchpin that was pulled out of what the West was to turn it into this kind of garbage?
Uh, okay. The first thing was that you had a wave of Russian and Eastern European immigrants into the West when the Bolsheviks came. I think when they moved to the West, they brought their ideas with them. That's what I noticed.
They're
Is this
communist
all
ideas. They're
their
socialist
communist
ideas.
idea? It's the same thing that we were talking about how the MGTOW white knight a movement to Thailand and you're bringing all your money and you're spoiling the Cambodian and Thai women with your money. Well, I give $800 to my Thai whore wife or girlfriend. Well, dude, you're supposed to only giving her like $100, you fucking moron. Why are you giving her 800? Same type of deal. Where you start when you bring in immigrants, when you expatriate to another country, they're still gonna have that residue on you,
Mm.
right? So that's kind of what I got from it on
Well,
how that started coming around. Also, mind you, Milton Friedman. You know who Milton Friedman is, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so Milton Friedman is considered the guru of the free market,
Yeah.
and he talks about 1890 North America as being the greatest for the free market. Okay, but you also had children getting killed in factories. You had fucking garment factory fires breaking out, killing hundreds of people. You had cholera in the streets. You had people defecating in the streets, and this it wasn't this fucking glory that he spoke of when the communists moved to ideas came about in the mid I guess the 1915, 1920, 1925-ish era. You also started bringing some type of laws and regulations in that most people felt that were kind of like commonplace and common sense. Child labor laws, for example. You can't have a 5-year-old with no shoes, running around on a construction site, and
Well, I've heard
those
those
type of
things.
things.
I've heard those things before about well, the constant argument between communism and capitalism is I've often heard that capitalism basically breeds a sort of greed for money, and you lack morals in the capitalist
Well,
system.
everyone's greedy, and that's again what Milton Friedman says. He goes, "Isn't it funny that's always the other person who's greedy and not you?" He's 100% right.
Yeah. Okay, human nature is to be greedy, but I mean to summarize a system of capitalism or free market as a system that just completely rewards greed is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. In fact, I think that in a true free market system of competition, greed will get you killed. You'll lose. I mean, the desire, greedy, define greedy, the desire to need more than the other person or need the most. Okay, in a capitalist system, you are obviously going to migrate to the idea of money. But, I mean, even working in a simple retail business, you understand that if if your whole business plan is just to make the most money, you're gonna fucking fail, man. Because there
Well,
are
that's again what the problem with monopolies is that that's what it is, and you're giving people an inferior product because you have a monopoly.
exactly, and that's my point. I mean, this is again the kryptonite of a free market system is monopoly, and that's why monopoly was put into certain laws to say it should never happen. We have to have checks and balances against monopolies because it is a natural phenomenon that will happen within
Corporate greed. You're just greedy. You're selfish. There, Ann.
no, but it will happen in a free market capitalist society. The potential exists. Okay, it exists. The potential exists. So you have to have checks and balances to make
Well,
sure that it doesn't happen.
like I said, I told MGTOW expat the same thing is that what I saw in Cambodia, where it is a libertarian wet dream, the people were pretty happy. We were pretty happy with selling their little goods, walking around selling coconuts, fixing power tools, and it seemed to really work and function quite well to a point. And what's happening in the West is you're now socially free. Define socially free as you're able to shove a papaya up your ass and brag about it, but you're economically not free. And in China, it's the opposite. China, it's economically free, but you're socially not free. And I tend to definitely go, look, there's no argument. Capitalism wins. Your ideas of socialism are just rehashing the same bullshit over and over again. You got nothing. There's only capitalism. That's the only system that we have in place that fucking works.
Well,
And these fucking morons don't get it.
Well, it's not that capitalism is the only system that works. It's the only system that works with needing fewer checks and balances. Because no system is perfect. There is no perfect system. If you allow a free market, you have to make sure that a free market exists within a system that allows for little chance of a monopoly to exist. So there has to be some kind of governing body in front of that. There has to be.
Well, this is how the left has hijacked the government and done, run rampant and roughshod with it. And now they're claiming, oh, the free market's not working. Well, you fucked it up. Look, and I use Bitcoin as a great example. I mean, Bitcoin it's so. I got a warning message on my brokerage account stating I can't buy something that's related to Bitcoin. Well, why are you telling me no? Because it's volatile? You mean the way the free market's supposed to be? If I'm down fucking $1,000 and up $2,000, it's my fucking choice if I'm up and down.
Yes.
Okay, so it has to give me all these fucking warnings, but I go ahead and buy it. Mind you, this stock has made me the past 2 months that I don't even have to fucking work right now.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I mean, when you're talking about cryptocurrency, in my opinion, that's a great challenge to.
It's a free market. Look at Bitcoin has been so crazy. It's back up to fucking $17,000. Last week it was down to $14,000. I have one Bitcoin. I was down $5,000. I'm back up again. That's a free market. That's the free market.
Yeah. And I'm wondering how many. It makes me wonder about MGTOW and its connection to. The concepts of capitalism and free market. I mean, anybody in the chats that are listening now, how many of you are supportive of a more socialist or communist system? Just speak up and let us know, because I'm curious.
Well, I'm a capitalist, but I'm very pro-union. I'm very pro-union. I believe in organizing workers. I do. 100%.
Yeah, why not? I don't see how.
Hey, look, what's so? But then they claim that socialist. Well, it's not the government doing it; it's a group of guys deciding on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, you're not going to sell anybody on the idea that a capitalist free market is the system for you if you don't introduce real checks and balances within that system. Because other than that, all you're doing is selling them all you're doing is selling them communism. You're saying to them, oh, it's all fucking, the workers get everything and everything's equal. It's bullshit. It's a pipe dream.
Well, let's use Norm Chomsky's argument. Norm Chomsky states that, well, they fuck up the government, the public sector on purpose so they can privatize it. What?
Yes.
What are you fucking?
That's insane.
That's the stupidest shit. That's insane.
That's absolutely insane.
Look at Venezuela. They're blaming the situation of Venezuela on America. Really, you fucking leftist fucking moron.
Yeah.
They dude. Electricity is free. Electricity is free in Venezuela. Well, fuck it. I better just leave my AC running with the door wide open if that's the fucking case.
Let's see how long that lasts. Right?
Well, it's collapsing.
Yeah, of course it's collapsing. Of course it's fucking
And
collapsing.
guess what? Now Venezuela is using what? Cryptocurrencies in Venezuela because their fucking currency's worth to shit.
Yeah. It ain't worth shit. look, the world is heading towards that. The world is heading towards a more left-leaning socialist communist ideology, and I am sick to death of hearing about it, and I want to know why. Are people becoming stupid? Do they not understand? It doesn't make sense
Well,
to me.
somebody say capitalism is the only way. Okay, communism, people will work hard. Well, guess what? In America now, it's turning into that also.
Well, even for
What
me,
I see now, well,
even for even for me, I get I like where I'm living now. I have a there's a cap on what I pay for electricity. Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, I'm
Okay.
listening.
There's a cap. And when I found that out, I was like, okay, that's good. That means I can just turn my heat up all the time. I can fucking waste as much as I want, and you're all gonna give me that. But in the end, like in the back of my mind, I'm always like, no, 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 save, 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 save. Try to save. But it doesn't matter because in the end, these people that are running the system of housing I'm living in, which is a very socialist system.
What is it? A co-op you're in?
It's not a co-op. It's called like a local housing. It's kind of like a co-op, I guess. But but the way that it works is that you're capped. You're capped at what you can spend. So I could turn the heat up all day and just crank it. But do you think they're not gonna fucking say something eventually? Like they will, and they'll be like, oh, you you're starting to drain our resources, and if you keep doing that, we're gonna kick you. Of course, they're gonna do that shit, man. So
Well, what's happening in the United States now is, and I don't know if I discussed it with you, but I've mentioned it to many people in New York, is that you're actually having some form of not communism, but more of a feudal system taking place where it doesn't matter if you push shopping carts or you're a manager for a bank. Seems to be a leveled playing field across
mm,
the board as far as wages go. So if and that's partially because of the minimum wage laws and everything,
mm-hmm,
but
absolutely,
what is happening is that okay, I'm pushing shopping carts and make $10 an hour. Well, now the manager at the bank is making $15 an hour.
yeah,
There's not much of a difference between $10 and $15 an hour when a car costs 60,000 and a house costs a $500,000. It
yes.
doesn't matter.
So who loses in this system?
The
Everybody,
people.
the people, everybody except the people running the show. That's and the leftist propaganda is they're always trying to. We need to fight the 1%. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, good luck.
The idea of fighting the 1%, all you're doing is giving them the power to control everyone else, and they don't even fucking get it. They don't
Right.
see it. They
They
don't
don't seem to
fucking.
understand that.
Yeah, the only way that socialism and communism can work, it cannot work through um, political maneuvering alone. It can't, and that's why we don't see it. That's why it collapses quickly, and we don't see it because you can't make it function through the power of itself alone. It has to be done through manipulation and brainwashing
Right.
and long terms of horrible education to make something like that happen. Okay, right? So if that's true, if that is true, and that's understood, why would anybody try to make that happen? Like the normal person. I'm not talking about the 1% on top or the
coming back to New York, I started. I don't say left leaning, but I'm starting to see things and wealth through a different light. And what I mean by that is I see people that have made a lot of money in New York and they've done unethical and immoral things to get to that wealth. So my view now as far as wealth has now been a bit skewed because I know these people have manipulated the system, greased the right wheels
Mm.
to get to where they are, and not done it through virtue, not vir but yeah, virtuous and being a good person. So, for example, if he's able to do what he's done because his father's a politician,
Hmm.
right? So he's able to get these contracts because of his father. He's an absolute filthy fucking scumbag of an individual. And no one in their right mind would work for this person, but because there's such limited amount of jobs, everyone has to cowtail and do what he says.
Yeah. Well,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, I do.
Or a hedge fund manager. You fucking scumbag. You are the most disgusting piece of shit. And now I'm looking at the laborer, the guy who's laying bricks down or being an electrician, as more the right person versus that hedge fund manager where he doesn't have to dirty his fucking hands.
Yeah.
And
Well,
he's manipulating the system at the same time, fucking over that fucking worker. You see what I'm saying? And
absolutely.
this leads to the rise of socialism because of things like this that are taking
Yeah.
place.
No, 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 no. This has to stop, man. It has to stop. And okay, we need to put it this way: the concept and the idea of making a profit for yourself to help yourself and the people around you. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no issue of morality involved in that concept. And that is what the free market says. Now, also the free market says that not only are you going to try to create a system of capital for yourself and the people around you to help yourself and the people around you, but you're now going to be competing with other people with the same idea. And what that does is that inspires creativity. Because what that does is, well, I want to make a little bit more than him. He's going to make a little bit more than me. It inspires a creative free thought form of a free market. That is free market capitalism. Where does it go wrong? Here's where it goes wrong. Morality. Any system,
Usury.
yes, any system goes wrong with morality. Morality is not a system of finance. Morality is a system of the mind and the soul. And what happens is you have people within that system of a free market capitalist system saying, well, you know what? I can fuck this system over and get more profit for less work if I do this. Usury is one big one, right? Obviously, usury. It's like, I'll lend you $100. You got 5 days to pay it back. If you don't, you got to owe me this much profit. Blah blah blah. Usury. And usury then funds an entire other system of capitalist return. But it's not a free market anymore. It's no longer free, right? That's what we have to understand. So the problem is not the system itself. It's the morality that's attached to that system. The difference is if you try to compare a capitalist free market system to socialism or communism. When it comes to socialism and communism, you're talking about two political systems that are born out of a corrupt morality. Those systems cannot exist unless you are morally absent.
Yes.
You cannot have communism or socialism to its true form unless you are absent in your morality. That's the truth. However, a capitalist free market system can exist. It can exist without a moral control. It can still function, sort of. It'll work because the idea is perfect in its system.
Well, we're obviously past that point. The reason part of the reason why we're past that point is because we really don't need laborers anymore. We have too many people on this fucking blue ball. We're obviously post-industrial age. We're living off of planned obsolete consumption and materialism. we're actually past these type of points. This is why you're getting this type of depopulation talk. You're getting environmentalism talk involved now, this brings forth something like the zeitgeist movement, where we you can have an automated system run everything around the world, where you can just put people, you can subsidize people, give them weed, give them an Xbox, give them a TV dinner, live in your little fucking cubicle of an apartment, and then that's it.
Well, that's the
And
answer.
you don't procreate.
That's the answer.
That is the
Yeah,
answer. That's where we're heading.
yeah. The answer to them is reduce population, right? Reduce population, and
Yes.
increase control of that reduced population. That's their answer. I mean, that is the antithesis of a free market system. It is the antithesis that destroys it completely. That's monopoly. That's monopoly. It's a monopoly of population. It's a monopoly of reproduction. It's a monopoly of people who are in control.
Well, again, what Bernie Sanders brought forth was the idea of a not a permanent welfare system, but again, a stipend. You get a monthly stipend of like $2,000 or $3,000. Here's your money. Do what the fuck you want with it. Go about your business. And I do think we will see that in our lifetime, where the overriding majority of people that are on welfare, you're going to see that grow, and they're just going to get a certain fixed income, and that's pretty much the end of it. But what happened in the 60s, during the Johnson's war on poverty, is that when the black people were put into the projects, okay, we're going to give you welfare, but you can't have a man in the house. The man has to go and find work. We're giving you money, but we're going to tell you what you can do with this money.
Now
If
you're
we
getting back
catch
in
you
the
with the man
MGTOW.
in this, right now, yeah, I know. We're giving you money, but you can't have a man in the house.
Yeah.
And what happened is the HUD, the Housing Urban Development, the urban planners would just show up at black people's houses in their units, and break into the door and say, "Is there a man here? Is there a man here? Because if there's a man here, we're gonna take your stipend away."
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So you broke. That was a big reason why there was a breakdown in the black community. Was these type of implementations on yeah, how are you supposed to receive welfare? No man in the house. Okay, so you're separating people's family. Yep.
Yes.
That's what the plan was. So then you people know, and this is my argument towards Bernie Sanders supporters. I go, look, Bernie Sanders may be Santa Claus now, but guess what? He's only going to be there for a certain amount of time. So you're going to put all these type of things in place, all these happy thoughts, happy ideas. Who's to say the next person replacing Bernie Sanders is not going to be the fucking devil himself?
Well, that's why I always said, and I said before, you cannot sell capital. I'm sorry, you cannot sell communism or socialism without lying. Okay, the road to communism is paved with hypocrisy. It cannot exist without it. It can't. You need to lie. You have to lie. If you don't lie, you can't sell the idea. I mean, it's like Disney trying to sell Star Wars. You got to lie about it.
Right.
You have
Yeah.
to. You have to lie. Any person within a free market capitalist system that wants to sell a product, if you have to lie about your product, then it's not worth selling anymore. But there is often where it turns over. Again, monopoly. When it becomes monopoly, you can lie. Now you can lie. Now you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Right. You can blame it on anything.
Anything. You can say whatever the fuck you want, and you'll sell your product because you have no competition anymore.
Well, the other thing is when you're arguing with people on the left, and feminists for that matter, is you want to go up and down with the conversation. They go sideways with the conversation. For example, I stated to a feminist recently, I go, you're crying about climate change, you're crying about pollution, but 80% of consumer spending is women. right?
Yes.
Guys don't really care about, guys could care less
How
about a
many
granite
women?
kid.
But how many women know that statistic, and how many care?
Well, it's a fact, and look, and mind you, guys spend this money to impress you.
Yeah.
I bought this fucking expensive car to impress you. I bought this big house to impress you. If it was up to me, I would use newspapers as a fucking blanket, and I would just stack all my money as much as possible so I don't have to fucking work again.
You know what I
That's
would?
my objective.
You know what I would use as a guitar pick? You know what I would use if I could?
A penny, a
No,
coin.
no, circumcised clitorises. That's what I would
Well, wait,
use as a guitar pick.
oh, okay, so we go back. So I'm talking about them going sideways with the conversation. So I give them a hard, proven fact that you're crying about climate change, crying about pollution, but you have a Michael Kors bag and you're driving an Audi. Okay, so who's the one here contributing to climate change? So what do? They go sideways with the conversation. What does she say? Yeah, but what about all the pornography? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking
Of
about?
course.
Wait, it was porn. I'm trying to think. She said pornography and fleshlights. Yeah, but you then buy fleshlights and consume pornography. The fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you
All right.
talking about? And how are you supposed to debate with someone that does that? You see what
Well,
I'm saying?
You can't. There's not much you can do at that point. Really, you
But
can't.
these people are mentally ill.
Yeah, well, this is the whole point.
Right?
When I was a child, man. Okay, when I was a child, my mother worked with the mentally ill. That was her job. She worked for Alberta Mental Health. She worked for the government with people that had mental issues. I mean, they were put in homes. They were young to old, couldn't function on their own, and they needed state help to function. I mean, these people, they were mentally ill. Okay, I grew up around them. She used to take us on camping trips with mentally ill patients.
Oh,
And
that's exciting.
I watched them interact. I used to spend days camping with just these old people that were so fucked in the head that they couldn't be on their own. Like the state had to take in and go, okay, you're in this home and we're gonna take you out for camping trips. I used to walk around with them all the time and laugh at them and talk to them and pretend that I knew them.
Right.
And they were fucked, man, and they were there for a reason. There was a good reason they were there. Because if you put them on the street and this happened, they'd just strip off all their clothes and run around like maniacs because they're fucking insane.
Right.
Okay, these people exist. They need help. They need intervention. I was there as a little child. I saw this. I grew up with this shit. So now as an adult, I see people arguing on the side of the left of liberalism, on the side of feminism, communism, and I go, "Are you fucking insane? You're insane. You're the kind of people I knew as a kid. I knew you as a kid, and you had like tobacco stains on your female mustache because you couldn't put down a cigarette. You were insane. You were insane." That's how I see the leftists. I see them as completely incompetent and insane, and they should actually be put in these homes. And interestingly enough, a lot of these homes have been shut down, so there's nowhere to put these people anymore. The people
That was done. That was actually done under Reagan in America,
yes,
doing away with that.
the people I argue with now on social media 20 years ago would have been in an insane asylum. That's where they would be. They wouldn't be texting messages to people. They would be in an insane asylum on medication. That's where they would be.
Well, a lot of them still are. A lot of these women are on medication still.
Well, they're probably on
You know,
medication, but they're not in a house. They're not in an asylum. You know, they're not. Their communication hasn't been reduced, right?
hmm
Yeah, maybe they're on some kind of weird drugs. Who the fuck knows? But they're a part of society, and they're telling everybody that, guess what? Even though you have a penis, you can pretend you have a vagina, and we agree
right.
with you.
This is how far it's gone, and you can see Jordan Peterson just put out a new video. I love Jordan
Yeah,
Peterson. I
Canadian, by
think
the way. He's
yeah, he's a
Canadian, eh?
juggernaut. He's everything Molyneux wishes he was.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what that's he just I don't consider for at all. I mean, I think Peterson just is a really just outstanding work what he does. But he just put out this recent video about how with their brainwashing children to accept transgenders and gay marriage and all
Yes.
these type of things. And he said this is pure indoctrination. Everyone needs to seriously wake up. And this is what's happened. And you've rewarded these type of people
Yeah.
who mind you are like less than 3% of the
Yes.
fucking world's
A
population,
tiny
and you've
percent.
elevated tiny percentage, and we have to be inclusive of them. What, they're only 3%,
This,
and mind you, they're
this,
immoral and disgusting.
and this is the power of Disney, and this is the power of social media. The power of Disney and social media is to twist popular opinion. That's it. Twist popular opinion. In other words, they take the most base, horrible, and smallest opinion and make it popular. That's their
Yes,
job. That is
it's the
their
loud, it's
fucking job.
the megaphone.
Yes. Hey, I gotta take a piss. You keep talking to the public.
Okay, well, the I just watched the video. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second here, guys. Uh, where is it? If anybody wants to view, go to my library. I have a playlist called Unprotected MGTOW Chatter, and it's the last one I've put up, and it's called Queer and the Ethics of Inclusion. What is happening is they're making these public housing, not public housing, but real estate development, these developments that are inclusive for gays and lesbians, trans, and whatever alphabet soup nonsense you have. So each town, each community now has these areas for congregation for these type of people. And once you have these type of areas within your community for these people to congregate, it starts to manifest. It starts to spread. So even if you live in a very conservative area, they're now they're receiving grants and funds to build these type of projects in people's communities. So it's called Queer and the Conversation, the Ethics of Inclusion. It's under my unprotected MGTOW Chatter playlist. So definitely worth checking out. Are you back yet? He's still taking a piss. So the other thing is, I have another playlist here worth checking out. It's best of Joel Kotkin. With that best of Joel Kotkin, it's a good playlist for people to see on what direction we are going in as a country and as a society.
I'm back. I'm back.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
So what were you saying?
I was just telling the listeners that, and I sent you the video also, but it's a little bit long, and I don't know if you actually got around to seeing it. It's a video called "Queer and the Conversation." It's about how real estate developers are now building these type of projects for LGBT, XYZ, what have you, type of areas within downtown communities. And and pretty much it's everything that Jordan Peterson was talking about. The only problem is they're trying to figure out a way in the United States to somewhat subvert the First Amendment, where they're trying to figure out a way to implement what they have in Canada in the United States.
Well, if they're going to do that, what they have to do is try to figure out how legally they can stop people from publicly expressing discontent for their actions. That's really what it comes down to, and it's fucking horrible, man.
Well, in this lecture, it was nothing but gays and women that were discussing. There's no men in the conversation whatsoever, which is more of the attack on heterosexual males.
I imagine. I only got to watch. I watched fucking maybe 20 minutes of it, and then I stopped.
Yeah, it's a bit long and boring.
It's long.
I don't blame you.
I watched maybe 20 minutes of it, and I stopped. And maybe go back to it, but it just sounded like the entire message was, hey, guess what? The world is gay and transgender, and if you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself.
Right.
That's what it sounded like. Was it like
right,
that?
And then, yeah, more or less, but they're trying to figure out a way to how to subvert what is in place already. Are you looking it up right now?
No. Hold on.
I hear clicking.
No, I'm just kind of looking at the. I'm just doing stuff with the chat here, but yeah, no. I looked at it, and I lasted about 10, 15 minutes, and it was mostly. I knew it was like, it was pro. Gay, LGBTQ.
Well, they're doing these type of projects in my town also. They're making this like LGBT community center. Mm-hmm. What the fuck is that? Why are you making an LGBT community center? Mm-hmm. Because it's about subversion.
Well, where are they?
It's subverting. Well, they're not built. It's not, it's placed the zoning board. I know that. The problem is the federal government's been giving grants to local communities to implement this type of fucking bullshit.
Yes.
And the towns are taking it.
And the federal government that's giving those grants was grown by Obama. That's federal. Yes. He grew those grants. He created those grants. I mean, he did 8 years ago.
Well, you weaponize the tax base, and people don't seem to fucking realize that.
Yeah.
You weaponize the tax base. Who in their right mind? No Americans would be okay with this.
Well,
and they don't realize where the money's coming from.
This is the thing. It's appealing to a minority that doesn't exist. All right? And this is the same way that media has worked in entertainment. It's trying to appeal to a... Okay, who is the feminist and LGBTQ community? It is a very small percentage of consumers. Again, in a capitalist system, in a consumer capitalist free market system, it is the smallest minority of that system. Because most people, they want to be entertained. They don't want to be lectured to about their identity. So you have to understand, these people are trying to appeal to a very small minority of the public with the power they have, trying to do it. This is like the Hail Mary. This is the Hail Mary of communism. They're tossing that ball as far as they can within a free market system. And they're hoping that they have enough monopoly to make that catch. They're hoping.
But you also have to understand, I've had very negative experiences with homosexuals. I've had very bad experiences. I've been groped, sexually assaulted.
Yeah, me too.
I really don't care what anybody says, because now I can claim victim status. Well, I can, right? So you have to understand that with with homosexuals,
They're a
look
small
at what they
percentage.
do to,
They're a
but
small percentage.
look at what they do to each other, and know they'll do the same to you.
Yes, absolutely they will. Absolutely. I mean, I know exactly what you're saying, man. I went through very similar circumstances. I remember being in very leftist political ideological British Columbia, Canada, the left coast in Victoria, and working with. I worked in a restaurant where everyone was gay except me. I was the only straight
Hmm.
guy. I was the only fucking. No, actually, not just me. Me and the cook. I was a dishwasher. I was like 22 years old, and I worked in a restaurant, and it was me and the cook. We were straight. Everybody else was gay. Male, female, gay. The owners were a married couple that pretended to be straight, but they weren't. And they just fucked anybody they wanted to. And so I was the minority sitting in this restaurant in Western Canada in Victoria, going like, "What the fuck, fuck you."
Hmm.
But it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to the mindset of these people, and I found that, you know what, homosexuality. You know what, it is a choice. You decide. You might have the only thing that makes a difference is that how you grew up. Nobody's born gay. That's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. You grow up in a certain way. You get influenced at a certain age, yes, and then you continue to be influenced in those circles, and yes, you're gay. And I've talked to so many gay people when I worked there because I was the only straight fucking guy.
Right. Yeah.
And every single one of them said, no, 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 it's a choice. Of course it's a choice. You're not born gay. That's just the way it is. And the more you talk to the effeminate gays, the gays that were very effeminate and talked female and acted female, most of them were like, well, no, actually, I think I was born this way. But for every one of them, there was three that were masculine gays. You wouldn't recognize them on the street. They didn't look gay.
Hmm. Hmm.
You wouldn't even know they were gay. They were so masculine. But they loved to fuck the ass of men. They loved it.
Well, it's an irrational
Yeah,
behavior.
of course it is. It's irrational and completely against survival.
Yes,
I mean,
agreed.
as far as the system works, as far as the system of being here to argue about this shit, we need to survive. And to survive, well, guess what? We need to have a dick go into a cunt. And that's it. Very simple. If everyone decided that a dick goes into a man's ass, we would all die and we would stop arguing about this forever. I mean, it's total bullshit.
Well, again, I think what the bottom line is with all that gay shit is they're going after children. And when you don't have
In the end,
families
it
anymore,
comes to
once you
that.
have a
Yeah.
breakdown within families, children are much more vulnerable to sexual assault. They're much more vulnerable. They don't know who to trust anymore. Especially when you don't have a male figure around. I mean, in South America, they just kill you if you touch a child. In Africa, they just kill you.
Yeah.
In the Middle East, they kill you.
Yeah.
And in America, we're grooming
Yes.
this new type of process, this new type of thought process, which is a mental condition, mind you, that it's okay. I mean, look,
Mental and emotional. Mental and emotional.
listen, homosexuality was viewed as a mental illness up
Until the
until like
70s.
the 1980s. Yeah,
Late
70s and
70s. Late
80s.
70s.
Hmm.
And then they
Right.
said, and actually it got changed through political um, opinion, not through science. It was political opinion that changed homosexuality from a mental illness to a lifestyle. That was political leanings that
Right, a
changed it.
lifestyle. Like
Yes.
it's like you're doing hot yoga.
Yeah, like you're doing hot yoga. It's like, actually, I'm a MGTOW now. I just want to be a man going my own way. No, you're fucking out of your mind, dude. You're out of your goddamn mind, and that's what it always was. I mean, it's the same as people that think they are another gender. Like, I'm actually a man, but I believe I'm a woman. I have a friend a close friend I grew up with who became a schizophrenic when we were very young.
Yeah,
And
you were talking
I
about
told you
this
about that.
last week.
Yes.
What was he thinking he
He
was?
thought he
He's
was
a
a werewolf.
superhero?
He thought he was a
A
werewolf.
werewolf.
Yeah, like he admitted this to me. He's like, every night I become a werewolf, and I kill people. I'm like, no, actually you don't. Like, you go to sleep and you wake up. You're not. And
Well,
no,
now let's do a left. Now you got to think like a
yeah,
leftist now. Well, how do you know he doesn't wake up and become a werewolf? Do you have
absolutely.
proof?
Yeah, it's fucking insane. It's fucking insane.
I mean,
Absolutely insane.
it's kind of. I don't really care. I'll rally. I'll fight tooth and nail against this insanity. And the problem is you use white women as the buffer to protect these type of people. So my cousin is so okay with transgenders, I'm laughing at her, and I'm like listening to her. I go, do you know what it's like in Thailand to be a straight woman, to be asked every day, hey, you're really cute, and then I look underneath I look at your neck. You're not a man, are you?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that how you want to live?
yeah.
To be asked every day, you're not a dude, are you, or
Yeah.
anything, right?
Yeah, you kind of look like a dude today. Are you sure?
Are you sure you're not a dude?
They sure didn't have a
And then
dick down there?
and you know what? Just to be on the safe side, you still look like a dude to me. I'm just not going to talk to you
Yeah.
because you actually might just be lying to me that you might actually be a dude. So this is what happens with transgenders, and white women don't understand that.
Well, they're transgenders are the highest rate of suicide of any person in history. I mean, these people are killing themselves like they're picking flowers. And it's horrible. It's like, why? Like, why are we encouraging this behavior?
I know. Well, again, they want people to die.
Well, the thing about this, could you imagine if we lived in a world where my friend who thought he turned into a werewolf every night, that we said, yes, you do. You are a werewolf. You turn into it every night. That's who you are. Embrace it. That guy,
Become one with it.
yeah, that guy would slit his throat within 10 days. He couldn't deal with the insanity of that. And we're sitting here trying to go, oh yeah, you're a woman. Yeah, really, you are. I know you were born with a penis, but you're not a man. You're a woman. Yeah, go with it. Go with it. No wonder
You just run with it.
yeah, no wonder these people are killing themselves at a rate of 40% per 100. It's insane, man. It's absolutely insane. And people that support this, I think they're horrible human beings. Absolutely.
Yeah, they are. They are. But again, it's white women. It's not regular guys. It's really not. You listen to these TED Talks,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the same. It's a bourgeois. I call it bourgeois white women who have never made a sacrifice, who live in gated communities and know nothing about reality.
Yes. They know nothing about reality.
That's it.
Zero.
That's all.
And I got actually banned from Twitter for a month because I told a female porn star that she looked like a man.
Well, maybe she is a man.
Exactly.
I would write back to Twitter. Maybe she's a transgender.
Exactly.
But see, now the glory of the left is you can use the left against their own insanity. You
Yeah.
can use it.
Yes.
See what you just did.
Yes. I know. She looked like a man. I'm like, all her makeup was gone. No more makeup. I looked
Who
at
was
her.
the porn star?
Mia Khalifa. They say she's.
Oh, that's the wannabe Muslim
yeah,
one,
she
right?
thinks she's a Muslim. I was like, no, you're not. You fucking idiot.
No, you're not.
You're not a
She's
fucking
not. I actually don't find her that attractive.
She's not that attractive. But she had this picture without makeup on. I was like, holy fuck. You're a dude. Like, she honestly looked like a dude.
Well, most porn stars. Oh, there's a great YouTube video. Is porn stars read mean tweets? Dude, it's so funny.
I believe it, man.
Exactly. It's pretty funny.
There was another porn star chick that I saw on Twitter that her name was what the fuck was her name again? Um, Christ, I'll have to look it up. I can't remember now. But anyway, she just posting a picture of herself, and I was like, you're retarded. Like it was an interview. It was an interview with her.
Yeah, a lot of them are retarded. A lot of them are on drugs. Listen, it's a sad life of a porn star,
Yeah,
man.
I was like,
It really is a bad life to be.
Oh, it was an interview, and I was like, okay, like I can see your shit, I can see what you do, I can see how you can be attractive, but as soon as you opened your mouth, I felt sorry for you. You're like a retarded child. Like everything she said, it was like a retarded child. I'm like, you're getting taken advantage of here. You're a retarded child. It was horrible. And I said that to her. I'm like, are you half retarded? And then boom, banned from fucking Twitter.
Yep. It's the end of that.
You can't tell a porn star that she looks half retarded in an interview.
So you're talking about porn. There was this. I think her name's Kendra Sutherland. I think that's the porn star's name.
Uh-huh.
She made like 2 years ago. She was like an 18, 19-year-old going to college, and she started like doing a webcam in a college library, flashing her tits. Okay, really hot. She's kind of got like this homeschool kind of like hot girl look and everything. And she just did that one video and it became like an automatic fucking internet sensation. She got thrown out of college, and then she got a deal to do porn.
Yeah.
And so she was like, okay, I'll do porn. But what she chose to do was to get gangbanged by a bunch of gay black men.
Beautiful.
Okay? The website's called Blacked. Right? Wait, it gets better. Who controls the website? A fucking French Jew.
Of course. Of course. What else would it be?
So not only do you piss off fucking white people with this blonde hair blue guy girl getting gangbanged by fucking black guys, you piss off black people because the comment section is all black guys saying, yo, these guys are faggots.
Yeah. They would be. I mean, yeah.
They were gay. It was so obvious that these were not straight fucking black dudes.
Of course they're gay, man.
Because they were more into each other than the girl.
Well, that's the whole point of it. It's again like I was talking about before. We're talking about discipline or the lack of it. To me, MGTOW is very very disciplined, and to continue to be a part of that lifestyle, you have to be disciplined. There are disciplines. I mean, there has to be a point in your life where you go, yeah, I want to go out and socialize, but this chick that wants me to fuck her, you know what? Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. Like I'm gonna.
Are you really gonna say no?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, you know what? I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to. I'll be a part of the experience or what might happen afterwards. You know, I just don't want to. It's a discipline, man. I mean, it's like if you want to quit something, you quit it. It's a discipline. I want to quit smoking. Okay, I'm not going to smoke today. Even if it's temporary, right? Even if it's intermittent. An idea of fasting. Like, okay, today I'm not going to eat or drink. Tomorrow I will, but today I won't. I mean, it's called, it's discipline. That's all it is. It's just
Yeah, and
straight up.
it's a good thing to say discipline. And you know what, you can turn to religion for discipline. You know, I think that's a good way of doing things and having your own little rituals to do things, you know?
Why not? Why not create your own? You're right? Why not create your own? Because at least at that point you can say it's your own. It's your own. I designed this. I designed this discipline. Right? And that's the thing. MGTOW objectively is a type of discipline. I mean, there's certain things you... And it is one of the hardest disciplines for men, is the discipline to stay away from pussy. Try that. Try that. I mean, there's a lot of disciplines. Go to the gym every day. Stop smoking. Eat. Be a vegan. Be a vegetarian. Eat this, eat that, eat this. This is the disciplines you're going to put yourself through. Okay, now as a man, try to say, nah, you know what? I'm going to fast from pussy. All pussy. In any sense of the word, I'm going to fast from it. Try that discipline. That's where vegans fail. Meat eaters fail. Everyone fails. Because the only meal that they can't fast from is the pussy. Has to be there. Right? That's a discipline, man.
Yeah, it's been a while for me, man.
Well, try to do it and understand it. I mean, what if a man says, I'm going to stop eating meat for a year, example, that's a discipline. For 1 year, I will not eat meat. Done. That's my lifestyle. And you do it. You go through it. You come out as somebody different. At the end of it, you're like, wow, I learned a lot from that. Or a man might say, I'm going to quit drinking for a year. No alcohol, no booze. Done. And you do it, and you succeed. 1 year. Now, as a man, say, you know what? I'm not going to have anything to do with pussy. Nothing. Done. I'm going to fast from pussy for a whole year. Well, guess what happens? Most guys say,
Yep.
Yo, what are you doing, man? You can't fast from pussy. You gotta be a part of it. Fuck you. Fuck you, man. I'm gonna fast from pussy. I'm gonna do it, and when I come out of it, well, how different is it from fasting from meat, or fasting from vegetables, or fasting from beer, or weed, or whatever fucking desire you have? It is a part of self-control. It's a discipline, man. MGTOW is a discipline. And it's a discipline from the most addictive drug on the planet, which is called the pussy. That's MGTOW.
Amen, brother.
MGTOW creates Einsteins.
Yep. Yep, we're all following it, man. And you know, there's great channels out there. Most of the MGTOW community is pretty awesome. You know, you gotta pay homage to and you gotta pay homage to all the guys that create content and taking the time out to make these videos and for doing what it is they do.
I honestly think that most MGTOW can't 100% dismiss himself from pussy, and that's okay. It's not a problem.
You're supposed to. I think that should be a rule of thumb. That you really should be a rule of thumb with MGTOW is you walking away from pussy.
Well, I would not make it a rule. In fact, I would say if you do it, there's these benefits, and it's much like capitalism. Like if it's like a free market capitalism, if you do have competitive prices, then you will get this advantage. But you don't have to. I mean, you could always try to undercut them or oversell them. It's up to you. But if you can compete with the prices of the goods that are being sold and you come out on top, good for you, man. Good for you. But if you can't, then try your own way. It's that simple. I mean, what it comes down to is the commodity for a lot of these men is pussy. Pussy's the commodity. And they think that the more of the pussy I have, the stronger my commodity. But it's completely wrong and backwards. Because all that does is it puts them in a worse place with other women and other men.
Mm-hmm.
The strongest commodity for men is, and actually, I might even say this: the semen that you contain in your ball, that your balls produce, that you produce in your balls, is the most valuable commodity on the planet. That's semen, and you don't do anything to produce it. It just happens. It's free. It's free for you, but it is worth the existence of the entire planet. You don't understand that. Nobody told you that. But the semen you produce in your balls is worth more than gold. It's worth more than Wi-Fi connections. Because that's what creates the next generation. But you've been taught your whole life that you're worth nothing. Yet, this little cellular organism that you produce from your balls naturally is actually what makes the world go round. It does. So understand that and stop being a goddamn pussy.
Mm-hmm. All right, AM. I'm gonna call it a night.
All right. Okay, let's call it a night. And
it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure with you as well. And
I'm glad that it worked out tonight, even though we had some technical difficulties earlier in the night, but it turned out to be okay.
It did. Yeah, we had these big problems. It worked out all right. I managed to get the background.
We'll talk a little bit more about 13th. I thought the 13th grade was a good concept tonight. Something different.
It is good. It is good.
And we'll do it again another time.
All right. All right, guys. Just remember that you are far more valuable than you think you are. That is the lesson to walk away from. Understand it. Grow from it. You are far more valuable. As a man. As a man, you have much more value than you think you do. And that's important.
And remember, it's about you. It's about you going your own way, doing your own thing that makes you happy, and trying to block out the bullshit. And you know what? Just the hamster wheel is real. You're in the cage. You're on the wheel. But you know what? You got your Nintendo. You got your Wi-Fi connection. And you gotta, make do with what's best, what's in front of you.
Well, make best with what you've got, and anybody that's trying to kill you.
But be aware of it. It's called being aware of it. As long as you're aware of it, you're okay.
Oh yeah, look, the Truth Messenger just came in. Fucker could have been in a long time ago, but now what time is it? It's like 1 in the morning.
Yeah, it's almost 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes
It's late.
Yeah. Sorry, dude. Should have come in.
Well, he can listen later. Yeah.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. Good night, AM.
Good night,
I'll talk to you later.
All right.